All right, welcome back, beautiful humans, to the Shanni Show. I'm Shanni Suisa, your host, and today's episode is with Lara Ghraoui, whose last name you will actually learn how to correctly pronounce with a Lebanese accent at some point throughout this episode. Anyways, this episode was fucking fantastic. I've known Lara for a bit now. She is awesome. I absolutely love her. From the second I saw her, I knew she was just a dope fucking human being. And it was a pleasure talking to her. You know, when we first met, she wasn't as openly lesbian online as she is now. Now she's been creating a ton of content surrounding her story, being gay in the industry, being gay as a Lebanese woman. I mean, it's like really, really cool content. She's been creating a ton of that. And so today, it was really cool to have her on because she went through her whole story, which is something that I don't think she would have done had I had her on the episode or on the podcast, 4 or 5 months ago, whatever it is. So super excited about this. And it's funny because we've been speaking about having an episode for so long that if we had scheduled it when we first talked about it, then we probably wouldn't have had this whole coming out story and everything that she spoke about on today's episode. So super, super cool. Really, really liked it. And she is just a hot ass model. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode visually and auditorially. You can find her on all social media platforms. She's blowing up on TikTok. I don't know if you guys go on TikTok ever. It is a new platform that the kids are using. I hear also the adults are using it these days. They're really into it. Anyways, you can find Lara on TikTok and Instagram. I will link her handles in the description so you can get it there, but it's at Lara Ghraoui. Let me just make sure that that's right, because it could be wrong. And what if I lied to you guys? Wouldn't you be so upset about that? Oh, I was right. I don't have a music career, do I, you guys? Do I have a music career? I don't think I do. Anyways, it's at Lara Ghraoui on all of the platforms. You can find her there. Also, of course, don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms. I'm at Shanni Suisa for my personal account, and then at Shanni Show for all the show accounts, everywhere except for TikTok. I still can't get that Shanni Show handle. It's going to be the ongoing story arc of this podcast. When will she get the TikTok handle? Never. I'm never going to get it. Before we dive into this wonderful episode, I just want to take a minute to talk about our sponsor. Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to wager all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first to market odds and lines. Man, I really wish I understood this stuff more. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, my personal favorite, esports, and even golf. People bet on golf? That must be thrilling. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. So let's get to just your origin story. I want to talk about where you were born, where you grew up, all of that, because you first were born in California and then you moved to Lebanon. So give us like the rundown of that. How did that happen? Usually people immigrant the other way often, so it's funny to hear that, especially as, a Moroccan. Everyone left.
I honestly feel like I look so ethnic. There's just a direct assumption. It's like, oh, she's definitely not one of us. You know what I mean? So basically I was born in California. I lived there for 9 years. And then I went to Lebanon for 7 years because my mom is Lebanese, and she's like, I want to take you back home. I want you to learn about like culture and connect with your family, your cousins, your grandparents, all of that. And so she took me back, and it was like a culture shock, just like leaving America where everything is so perfect, and America has all of its problems and things like that people complain about, and all agreeable things like abortion and things like shit like that just needs to get fucking cleared up. I'm sure you're gonna beep this out, but I gotta curse a little. So
no, we don't bleep shit out on this show.
Yeah. Perfect. So I'm like, stuff like that just like needs to get cleared up. But then at the same time, for me, like the way I see it is, I'm like, I lived in a third world country. As soon as I went from America, where everything was peaceful and calm, Israel attacks Lebanon. And so I went from...
Shit, you were there.
So I lived through a war.
Dude, my family lived through the same war on the other side of the border.
No way.
Literally 20 minutes from Lebanon and Israel.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's holy fucking shit. That's crazy.
That's
my mom lives
insane.
there like 20 minutes from the border.
The one that was in 2006?
Yeah, so she wasn't there at the time, but her sister was. And like all of her kids, she's got like, well, now she has like 10 kids. I think at the time maybe there was 4 or something. But yeah, like that. And I had quite a few other families.
That's crazy.
Like,
I
it's
didn't know
insane.
that. I didn't know that.
That's so fucking nuts.
And so I remember like being in Lebanon and like, you know, like right now, like you see like Ukraine, Russia war and you see an explosion and it's different for me watching it because I understand the depths of what it's like to actually hear a bomb.
To live through
and I
it.
remember being a kid and like I would hear like an explosion and what it sounds like is like you hear an explosion and then you're like, what is that? And then you look outside on the balcony and there's like smoke in the distance, like very, very far away. And then what you hear is car alarms, one by one, inching closer to you as each car alarm is going off from the bomb, the vibration of the bomb. And then all of a sudden, all these car alarms are going on. And then when you get to the last point, depending on how close you are to the bomb, the glass of your house potentially shatters.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
I've heard that the windows and stuff.
Yeah, the windows and everything. It's just like, that's like how an explosion is. And I remember even like laying in bed, trying to sleep. And like, you just see like you hear a plane, but you can't see the plane. But what you can see is,
The trail or whatever.
Like, I don't want to say bullets because it's not really bullets from an airplane, right? But you could see the shooter just like bright lights on every single shooter. And it wasn't like missiles, but like it was definitely gunfire. It's gunfire.
Like the sparks or whatever.
Yeah, so there was
you
like
see the
gunfire, just the red. It was like Star Wars, like just like going
That's
through.
fucking nuts.
But way scarier because you're laying down in bed and you just like don't understand what it is or what's happening. And I remember
what
like
city were you in? Was this in
I was in Beirut.
Beirut?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was in Beirut. So I remember like going to the window and my mom's like, get away from the window. Like, you don't know, because the glass. And I didn't know. She's like, we got to get canned food. We never know when they're going to close the grocery store. Like, we need to run to the hallway. Like, is there a basement? Like, freaking out, like things like that. And all of a sudden it's like, there's like an urgency for whether or not you're going to die, but you don't fully understand it. Cause I was like 9 years old at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I lived through a war in Lebanon and started to have to like learn Arabic and like to like understand everything and like what's going on. And it was like it's extremely religious,
right?
But in a way, they like Lebanon and Beirut is like the most Western part of the Middle East, and they, in another nickname, they call it kind of like the Vegas of the Middle East.
Yeah,
you know?
I've heard Beirut is dope. Some of my favorite DJs always play there.
It's a party city. You have like Tale of Us and Peggy Goo and all these amazing DJs going and playing. So it's definitely like more liberal and like more open than other Middle Eastern countries. But it's still got a lot of setbacks and like extremists, Islamic extremists and stuff like that just like really impact your way of thinking about certain things.
That must have been so hard. So when you first moved there was when that first year was when the war started, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't even have time to really adjust to Lebanese culture yet. I mean, obviously you are Lebanese, so you're born that way, but still you're coming from California. It's such a different... Where in California were you born again?
Orange County.
Orange County. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You're not even like coming from LA. You're coming from OC.
No, it was like boring, quiet Orange County. Like,
that's where I went to high school, by the way.
Really? Yeah.
In
like,
Irvine.
I was in like Mission Viejo, Rancho Santa Margarita,
I lived in Mission Viejo.
Laguna Niguel. Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
So I did all of that, and it was like, so quiet. Like I don't even remember
so
really.
fucking white, dude. Like
yeah. Like I don't even remember any of my time like really being there. Like a small snippets of like childhood and shit, And then it was just like boom, like explosions and war and everything, and then after that, it was like me going into school, and I would change schools every year because my brother was like kind of a troublemaker. So he'd get kicked out, and then I'd leave with him, and then finally, like I hit like I think like 9th grade or something, and he got kicked out, and I was like, Mom, I'm not switching schools with him anymore. Like I finally have friends. Like I'm finally like getting used to socializing, and like I hate being the new kid, on the block. Like even like getting into Web3, like I'm like the new kid on the block.
Well, at this point you're like the OG kid on the block. I moved around so much. I was always a new kid, but don't you feel like being the new kid helped you in terms of like just, maybe not all the social skills, but being adaptable? If you go anywhere, to any party, to any country, you're visiting, whatever, you feel like you can really make yourself at home or at least have a good time to a certain extent?
I feel like you definitely have a certain exposure that makes you appreciate things a lot more.
That's for sure.
You know,
Yeah.
like if I'm at a party here, right? It could be any party, but I'm at a party knowing I can be myself. And it's that little thing where I'm like, I'm so happy to be here for that reason, you know?
Yeah. So you feel like you can be more yourself because you've been exposed to so many new people over time that you're not
People that
only
are more
comfortable
open.
around a certain sect kind of thing.
Well, people that are more mentally open, I think, you know, because like Middle Eastern background, like even take, for example, like modeling. I remember when I first wanted to start modeling, people would be like, oh, like to my mom, like, are you really gonna let your daughter go and be a model? Like, girls that model, they're like whores. Like, it's a bad industry. Like, you don't know what they have to do to get to the top and this and that. And, you know, it can be a slippery slope. You know, there's like a dark side and a good side to like everything, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, I ended up just like leaving. I left the Middle East so that I could model and things turned out okay. But, you know, being around people in America where there's so much open-mindedness and like a more willingness to like go follow your dreams, go figure this out, go get it, go speak up. Like something I learned most from my mom and like being here is to go speak up, because being in the Middle East, like I would say something when I was younger and my grandma would be like, stop talking. You don't know what you're talking about. And my mom would intercept and she'd be like, don't tell her that. You know, she's young. She needs to know that she could like speak her opinion and say what's on her mind, because otherwise she's gonna be too afraid to, you know, which kind of brings me back to, you know, when we were talking about like TikTok and like me, you know, discussing
content,
discussing things there. Like I'm still getting used to that because I'm not quite used to like speaking. And it has a lot to do with that background that I have. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think I was very lucky because I am obviously, we're Moroccan Jewish. And I mean, I think we have similar tendencies. Middle Eastern culture is so similar. And a lot of people don't understand that, especially when they're, you know, here, women are so much more empowered. I mean, you can really like do whatever you want. The stigma is so gone. But I think I was really fortunate to be a Moroccan in LA as opposed to in another city with a lot more Moroccans, because I think when the communities are so big, they can become quite toxic. Like I had Nicole on the show and we were talking about Iranian culture, especially within LA, and there's so many Persians here.
Right.
And so because of that, a lot of those norms come here and you don't get some of that Western benefit, right?
Yeah.
Or like it sort of skews in the middle.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I was
kind
quite
of like
fortunate.
pigeonholes it.
Yeah. And so obviously, so you're coming from, so do you remember though, when you were in Lebanon, obviously you haven't had time to adjust yet. The war is just starting, but do you remember that it was significantly different than Orange County? Do you remember thinking that?
For sure.
Like what was going through your mind at that time?
I mean, I was thinking that I went from a country that has electricity and clean water all the time to a city that is in war. They're dropping ceasefires, papers in the air. Electricity's gone for like 4 to 8 hours a day. I'm filling up boxes for refugees with food. I'm volunteering. I'm like 10 years old and I'm like, I'm going to go volunteer because whatever, I have nothing else to do. And I'm filling bags of pasta and distributing rice and stuff. That's a huge difference from
fucking Mission Viejo.
Yeah, from Orange County, like Mission Viejo, where there's nothing going on, like literally nothing ever.
Were you,
you know, like
so fucking
like
true.
There's literally nothing. Like I think of Orange County, and I remember thinking, why do Americans smoke so much weed? Oh, because there's literally nothing to do. Like you go to Orange County and you're just like, I'm so bored. Actually, I'm gonna go get high and go to In-N-Out or Taco Bell. And your food options in other areas, if you're not in a big city like LA or Miami too, are like
so limited.
So limited. It's like, you want breakfast? You're going to IHOP. And it's like, I don't want IHOP. Damn it.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I hear that. Were you mad at your mom for bringing, like, was there a sense where you were angry at any point? Or I don't know, that's kind of crazy.
I think, you know, I wasn't angry right away because I didn't fully understand.
It didn't click. You were so young. Click. It's like, how do you even have emotions about that kind of shit?
It's called trauma. You develop trauma. I talked about it with my therapist. You know, you talk to your therapist, they're like, she's like, wow, so moving around a lot? Oh, you know, must have been really tough on you. And I'm like, yeah, you want to tell me that again? Like, so remind me of it. Yeah. But no, I definitely didn't process it like in the beginning, you know?
Yeah.
And like that first year, like you're kind of in survival mode because you're like, oh, I survived the war. Is there what's going on? Can I go to school? Can I not go to school? That kind of thing. And with time, like I started to just feel like I don't really want to be here. I can't imagine my life here. I miss being in America. Like, you know, and I'm like, I want to like go model. I really wanted to model like at that age.
Where'd
like,
that come from? Where did that?
I think
such a strong urge.
I think I got, bullied a little bit for being like tall and skinny. You get the whole cliche. You're like a giraffe. Like,
and me bullied for short and fat.
the contrast.
A
the
round,
contrast.
small child.
I think kids are just like really lost in the sauce, and like
they are.
They got their own insecurities, and when you're young, you don't understand that people have their own insecurities to work through. So they're so quick to go and tell you something and be like, "Oh, you're like this." And I remember kids like grabbing my wrist and be like, "Your wrist is so small; it's literally the size," or like, "Your arm is so small; it's literally the size of my wrist." And I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
great.
What do you want me to say? You know what I mean? And so at one point, I think I was like 16. And one of my friends had the number of this fashion designer named Zohair Murad.
Yeah.
Who, he sells dresses, like amazing, amazing dresses, whatever. And for some reason, one day I see my friend, I'm like, dude, you got like a weird haircut. What's going on with you? And he's like, oh, my friend Zohair told me to cut it like that. I'm like, you know what? Can you give me his number actually? And he's like, yeah, sure, I guess. So I call Zohair. And he answers this random 15-year-old girl.
Wow.
Like random 15-year-old girl. It's pretty crazy. It's kind of like calling Carl Lagerfeld. And he actually picks up the fucking phone,
Yeah.
So he picks up the phone and he's like, hey, like, I'm like, hey, I'm like this person's friend. Like, whatever, I really want to model. And he's like, no.
Shut up. Did he flat out say no?
He's like, I was like, I want to model for you, whatever. I don't know anything about modeling, And he's like, no, that's like not how it works. And then like from here to here, I'm like, come on, like whatever. And then he's like, okay, fine, you can send me an email. I go like take photos, whatever. The photo's not very good, Send it to him, and I'm like, this is my height, this is my whatever. He ignores the email, obviously, because same thing I would do. You know how many girls like they DM you, like, what are you gonna sit there and give advice to every single person? Like, it's really difficult to do.
Hard.
And like every person, like especially him, he's like built like a fashion empire. Like he doesn't have time for like some random girl, And so I end up just like sending him another message, and I called him, and I'm like, hey, did you get the email? And he's like, yeah, like, I can't help you, whatever. And I was like, look, why don't you just meet me face to face to face? And if you don't like me after you meet me face to face, I'll succumb to whatever your decision is.
Face to face to face to face.
Face to face. Meet me face to face, I'll succumb to whatever your decision is. And he's like, okay, fine.
Nice.
So I take
persistence, yo.
Yeah, persistence. So I take my mom, and my mom's like with me, just following me around, being like crazy, absolutely crazy child. And I remember walking into his office, and there was just like this long, huge table, and I've never seen so many magazines in one place. And I remember seeing like pictures of like Cara Delevingne and Cindy Crawford and Miranda Kerr and Tyra Banks. And I was like, oh my God, Mom, look how many magazines there are. This is crazy, And he like walks in the room, and he looks at me top to bottom, and he's like, I'm like, hey, it's so nice to meet you. And he's like, yeah, you too. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? And then like from here to here, I'm like, look, I really want to model. I really like, I blah, blah, blah. I'm talking my way through it like a sales, where it's like I'm selling myself, And he just leaves the room and he walks out. And he makes a phone call to this casting director in Paris. And her name was Corinne Licia. To this day, I still have no idea what this woman looks like.
Have you never met her?
I've never met her.
But she's like who started your modeling career,
so,
basically.
Hold up, I'm gonna explain. So he calls her, and he's like, I have this girl, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, send me her photos. So I send her my photos. 3 months go by. I hear nothing from her. I'm like, ugh, fuck, like this sucks. And then she randomly sends me a message. She's like, hey, can you come to Paris next week? And I've never been to Paris. So I go to my mom. I'm like 15 years old. I'm like, Mom, like, can we go to Paris? Like, she sent me a message, and my mom's like, okay, let's go.
Nice.
And so I skipped out on like a week of school, and I remember going and asking the principal for time off, because it was like a week off of school. Like, I'm gonna have so much stuff to catch up on. And I didn't want to tell any of the kids at school that I'm gonna go meet modeling agencies, because I didn't want to get bullied and feel bad about myself before it. So I remember telling all of my all the students and all my friends in school. I remember telling all my friends in school that I'm gonna go visit my uncle in Paris, and I don't have an uncle in Paris, And I remember going to the principal, and I was like, I'm gonna go see my uncle in Paris, and he's like, you're not going to Paris to see your uncle, are you? And I was like, no. And he's like, you're gonna go meet modeling agencies? And I was like,
did everybody know you wanted to be a model at this point? Was it
some knew, like some girls were like, do you really ever think you're gonna be like friends with like Victoria's Secret models, and like you really ever think you're gonna be a model like that, and blah blah. And I'm friends with all of those girls now, like a good amount of them, like, you know. And I like fought for that shit for a long time, but it wasn't like that. And I got bullied about it, and you know, whatever. But my teachers and stuff were super supportive. So
nice,
like,
that's really
super
good
supportive.
to hear.
Yeah, the principal was like, he was like, "You're gonna go try and model?" I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Good luck," you know. And
Nice.
so I ended up going to Paris. And I like met with all these modeling agencies like Next and IMG and stuff like that. And then Next eventually was like, if you're moving to LA and you want to start there, like we can connect you to Next in LA. And then I ended up going to, you know, we went back to Lebanon. I had like all these cards from all these people. I did like my first round of meeting modeling agencies, and it was like pretty crazy step. Like I was like, I didn't get like a no. I got a, you're too short for Paris and you're a baby. You know, you're still growing. But, you know, let us know if you're going to start in LA.
Yeah.
And I ended up signing my first modeling contract with Next in LA. And I begged my mom, like, I was like, "Mom, please, like, let's move back to America. I really want to pursue modeling, blah, blah, blah." And, you know, that brings us to what is now like how many years? Like 10 years or something, like 9-10 years.
Well, how old are you now? 25?
25. So I did like 9 years in California, 7 years. Let's do the math.
Shit, sorry. I have to take antibiotics.
Oh, you're good.
Ridiculous pause.
We could pause it. You do the antibiotics. We could do the math on how many years
Guys
I've
want to see
been in
my
America.
amoxicillin? He's making me take it like every 6 hours, which is such like inconvenient timing.
And it makes you tired.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm always exhausted. So I'm exhausted and caffeinated at the same time. So you signed with Next. So that entire time from like 9 to 16, you were in Beirut.
I was in Beirut doing school regularly, just like regular school, getting bullied here and there.
But did you ever like get into it? Did you build like a life there, friends? Like what was or was it mostly what were the positives of that experience? Because it must have done, you know, something. I feel like it.
I would say the positives of it was like learning how to connect with family and like have my cousins, but like also like me and like half the family still kind of fucking hate each other, you know? So it's like
Fun.
Yeah, it's like one of those situations. But like I had a great time like with like my grandma. She's hilarious. Like, you know,
I saw the video of you visiting her or whatever after 7
yeah,
years. That was so
it
cute.
was like a long time, and like my grandma will be like, she'll look at me, she'll be like, "You look different. Do you do something to your face?" And I'm like, "No, grandma, I didn't." She's like, "You're lying." And I'm like, "Mom," like I'm like, "Grandma, like you haven't seen me in like 7 years. Come on."
Like you're like, I grew up.
Yeah, I'm growing up, and you know, so she's like hilarious. But I'm super like, as much as like the trauma that I've experienced and like the hardships that I experienced being in the Middle East, like war and things like that, and changing schools so much with my brother, I'm super, super grateful for it, because I think the urge to leave and to go model and travel the world came from me feeling stuck. And I remember writing like a poem when I was younger, and I would always get in trouble in class. Like I took like advanced placement, like English and like biology and like a few other things. And my English teacher was the best. Like she actually failed me for an entire year. She failed me for an entire year of school. And like, you know, we'd be in class and I'm just like daydreaming. I'm like daydreaming of like modeling, leaving. I'm like manifesting, traveling in my head, you know. She'd be like, "Lara, like pay attention." And she'd be like, "Analyze this poem." And like, I'd go in and analyze the poem. And she's like, "Okay, you can go back to sleep now." I'm like, "Cool." Cool. Just
Okay,
like,
you can go back to sleep.
yeah,
now.
you could go back, pass out now. And yeah, so basically like she was fucking awesome in the sense of like she failed me an entire year, like made me push myself more. By the end of the year, she actually like rounded everybody's grades up to what they actually were. And she was like, "Lara, you're number one in the class." I was like, "Damn, you really fucking gave me like 60s and 50s for like an entire year." I was like, I thought I was gonna have to repeat my whole grade or something, you know?
Oh wow! So at the end, it was all fine. You were literally the best student.
Yeah,
in the class.
I had like an A, and like she told me, like I remember one time like she had cornered me and she's like, "Name one person in the class that's smarter than you." And I literally opened my mouth to say this kid's name, and she's like, "You know that you have the highest analytical skills in the class." And I was like, "No."
Oh, that's quite refreshing to hear from a teacher.
Yeah, I was like, I'm like 16. I don't fucking know like what kind of analytical skills I have. Like now I know I've done tests and it says I'm like 9. I'm not like a super genius, but I'm, as far as being analytical, I'm like 99% higher analytics than like the average person or something.
It's probably why you like crypto and stuff.
I'm like detail oriented, like things like that, or like analyzing people like comes like kind of easy to me. But like ask me to do math and forget about it. You know, so like crypto and stuff like.
What if you had to analyze the math problem?
Oh my God, that's the worst. How many apples does John have when he puts 5 in the cart?
And 6 in his ass.
Yeah.
John has a lot of fucking apples. Like, I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, literally.
John has no oranges, and that's all we know.
Yeah, but he has one orange that looks like an apple. How many apples does he have? Oh my God damn it. I fucking hated math. I hated math.
I mean, it's interesting because do you know who Sarah Dawn is by any chance?
No.
She's cool. She was Miss Iraq, and she's a friend of mine. I love her, and I went to her apartment once, and she told me like her whole story. And she was in Iraq during the Iraq War when the Americans were bombing them, and she ended up like working for the Americans at one point, and then getting her thing here. And it's really crazy to hear kind of some of the similarities of your guys' stories and how she explains the feeling of the bombs, and like especially when they're coming from a plane, it's just a really different sensation. And so and also, I mean, that obviously led to a lot for her and sort of the motivation to drive her career and to help. She does a lot of like peacemaking stuff. She's really into that.
Right.
And I think it's a really beautiful thing. And so it's interesting how different parts of our traumas can create this motivation for different areas of us. Yeah. And I think also the bullying thing, do you know who Matt Belinsky is, that guy? He's like
very familiar.
Yeah, he's one of like our friends. He's, at the after party house or whatever.
Yeah.
So he posted something recently that was kind of fascinating. It was like a tweet that someone put out on bullying is bad, yes, but if we eliminate, like some bullying can lead to positive things. And I always think about that. And it's not to say that I appreciate the bullying that I had thrown my way or the bullying that I sent in other people's ways, which, like I definitely admit to some of that. But I think that it is an interesting concept because some of the best people I know have been through the hardest fucking things. Yeah. And some of the most hardworking and some of the coolest people and the most enjoyable people to hang out with that I know have been through like the most insane things. Like, if you ever hang out with like a super loaded person who like grew up in fucking Aliso Viejo and has never left, it's a different vibe. Like, there's not as much character there. So I don't know. It's interesting to hear people's origin stories like you're talking about, because I do feel like it gives you a whole other layer, and probably a whole other layer with your modeling too, no?
I think bullying is like something that people should just like never do, I think it makes people feel bad for nothing, and it's literally one of the dumbest things that people do, and I think it's a bad example of the potential intellect that human beings have. Yeah. And I think that...
But kids are stupid.
Their
intellect is not really there yet. They're like fucking idiots.
Yeah, and it's like the reality of it is like you don't know what kind of traumas you're incurring on somebody, and it's like, what you're causing, like it's just so fucking dumb, and I do think that experiences and hardships is different. And
for sure.
Character building, so like I don't feel like people need to endure like a form of bullying in order to like get to a certain place in their life. But I think like I wish kids were more open-minded and more naturally supportive, but it's hard to do that because as a kid, natural feelings of maybe like jealousy, like things like that. Insecurities usually take over, and you end up just acting the wrong way. Yeah.
Do you think that first of all, when did you first realize that you were a lesbian? Do you feel like that played into this? So in not feeling kind of
as
belonging
far as
there?
Wanting to leave the Middle East and my sexuality, at that point, I had no idea.
Right. Because you're pretty young. It's hard to kind of know.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had certain friends in school that like I would be like
you
trying
thought we're hot.
Well, I didn't actually get to thinking they're hot. So what happened was, I think like my thought process was, I'm not cool. I'm a nerd. Like secretly, like what outside of here.
Can't tell right now.
I'm a nerd. Like I'm like just like I'm a dork. I like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. Like catch me playing with action figures. Like I'm that girl, right?
Dude, you'd love Maud. She's got a whole like geek media company and stuff.
Would love
it's
that.
fucking sick. She's like a gamer, has like a lightsaber and shit.
I love that. So I'm like I'm like a nerd and shit, and so. Just like, when it comes to my sexuality, I had no idea. Like, I remember just having like a few friends in school, and they were like, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not that cool. I'm going to go try and befriend all the hot girls. And so I started
Interesting strategy.
Yeah. So I started, maybe I subconsciously liked them for another reason, but I'm like, oh, that one's pretty. I'm going to go be friends with her. That one's pretty too. She's pretty too. she's pretty too. That one's really pretty. She's gonna be my best friend, you know? And that's like one of those like I'm gay moments, but you don't know that you're gay is when you want to have the only blonde girl with blue eyes in school be your best friend. Like literally it's like 5,000 students. There's one girl with blonde hair. I'm like, that one
You're
that
like,
looks
you.
exotic. You are the chosen one.
I love how the blonde hair, blue eyes. That's exotic for us. That shit is
super
fucking exotic.
Yeah, like I come to America and they're like, oh, like my type is like you. And I'm like, my type is like the white girl over there. Like, damn, she got a booty on her too. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Cut this out. Like,
I was actually gonna ask you, like, are girls into asses the same way guys are into asses?
I think it depends on the girl.
Does it? Because
Yeah.
guys are really into, maybe just because I have an ass, so that's usually what is like discussed the most. But I feel like that's such a huge draw.
I would say I think most, how do I say this without it sounding like a complete piece of shit?
Just say it.
So most of the girls that I like hook up with or have a thing with are like similar in size to me.
Yeah, you do seem to date like everyone that's like just
Everyone is
you're
like,
all equally so hot.
they're
It's
like
stressful.
They're
actually.
like 5'7" to like 5'10", maybe 5'11", because like I'm a little bit more masculine in energy, and the truth is like I don't want to be physically outweighed. And that's hard because I barely weigh anything. I'm like, I'm like 115 pounds,
Interesting.
but I'm trying to be like the macho one, and I'm like, I can't really be the macho one if she's like bigger than me. I'm just gonna get manhandled, So like that's the truth of that,
So it's not because you're just so attracted to yourself that you want to get with people who look like you.
Just like hot girls. Fuck. I'm an idiot for hot girls. Oh, especially if they've never been with a girl. I'm like, that one. That one is perfect. Because I'm like, the truth is like the first thing that I'm looking at is aesthetics, and that's like the more like I'm gonna say shallow part of myself. Like aside from all this intellect, like realistically speaking, like the first thing you walk
is the
into
first thing.
somebody catches your
Absolutely.
eye. You're like, oh, that person's so cute. Then if they suck, they just suck. And
Yeah, absolutely.
everything about their exterior aesthetic just like deteriorates. And I've met so many girls that are just so ridiculously hot, and then they just start talking, and I'm like, God, you are such a fucking horrible human being. Why do you have all this fame? I wish I could tell all your followers about how much of a piece of shit you are. Recent experience.
Fucking clipping that for socials.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, like, I fucking like went out with this girl recently, and I'm like, God, your fans have no idea how much you're gay baiting.
Wait, what is gay baiting? I think I maybe do that sometimes.
Like girls that act like they're more into girls when they're actually not.
Okay, but
Because they know it, they're collecting a fan base from it. And I'm like, that's fucking
Oh,
horrible.
I thought you meant like baiting literal gay girls, because a lot of women hit on me. I'm a very like.
Well, it's like this isn't the circumstance. Like the example I'm giving is if like you're posting. Like you're
No, it's different. No, I know what you're talking.
Yeah,
you're gay baiting the audience. I thought you meant like at like a club. I was like, well, I
gay baiting
because I'm just a very friendly person, so I never know who thinks
you
that
like girls. Shanni.
Honestly, your content is like, if any content were to turn me, it's your fucking TikTok, dude.
Thanks,
that shit makes
dude.
lesbianism seem so fun. Like,
And
it makes it seem like the best.
I feel like
time.
we're like hopping through topics. I'm like, and it's good because I feel like
my YouTube chapters are gonna be hilarious. We're gonna like war, lesbian, hot girls, war, lesbian,
this
modeling.
This makes me realize I was having this conversation with somebody the other day of like, I can't talk to people that don't have ADD like me, because then it's like you're hopping through these topics, but it just doesn't make sense to people that don't have ADD.
But to be honest, a lot of podcast listeners, they can lose their focus quick. So
yeah, so
like,
it brings it back.
Yeah,
makes
here
it
we go.
interesting.
We're snapping
yeah,
through.
Yeah. So well, I think we should seal off that first idea that we had, right?
Which one was the first one?
My sexuality, like me feeling limited in my sexuality, being in the Middle East. So at that point, I had no idea why I liked all of these girls, things like that. I come to America. I'm like, maybe I'm bisexual.
Ooh.
Okay.
When did that start?
So 16, we moved to America. I signed my first modeling contract with Next, right? Okay. And I'm like still living in Orange County. I haven't moved to LA yet. And I'm like talking to two friends of mine that I have that are like, yo, we turned out gay. They're like, we turned out gay as fuck. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I think I might be bisexual. Like, I don't know. And I have no clue. I'm like trying to go on dating apps, like trying to like talk to girls, like whatever. And all these girls look like bizarre, like, and like, they're like, I feel bizarre because I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know how to hit on girls. And like one girl's cute, one girl's a porn star, one girl's like, you know, lives in Long Beach. And I'm like, okay, this is so bizarre. Everybody's so different. Like, you know, that kind of thing.
Wait, but did you like guys? Like, did you have crushes on guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, but
got
I
it.
liked guys that didn't make a move on me.
Right. Sure. I mean, I
That
also like a
doesn't
lot
really
of guys.
sound
I think that's
like
like
it made sense to you, but I like them.
well, you have to understand, I didn't grow up hot, so like that was all the guys that I liked. It's fucking depressing.
That's fucked up.
So many guys that I like expressed my feelings for that turned me down. I mean, it was brutal, but I think that was not because of how I looked, and more because I was not there yet.
I think I had like zero game whatsoever when I was in the Middle East.
That's for damn
zero
sure.
game,
Game
and that
doesn't
was
exist.
when I was talking to guys, and like there was
you were
two
talking to guys in the Middle East.
Yeah, because that's when it, you know,
Got
like,
it.
you know, of course you've never heard of like what a lesbian is.
Yeah.
When you're young, like you don't know, like girls liking girls, like anything like that. So there was two guys that I really liked, and one of them's name was, you know, his name was Danny. And he had like black hair and green eyes, like a little nose, you know, kind of looked like a girl, like, but like a really pretty boy.
You're like, Danny was so pretty.
Yeah, he was like a little Justin Bieber, you know, obviously like that fucking, you think it would have made sense. Like there's just things I look back at now that I'm like, gay.
all the hot girlfriends.
All the hot
best friends.
Yeah, like I remember at one point, like one of my friends, like I like walked in on my room, and like for some reason the girls were changing and they were like both in their bra, and I remember just like
staring. Hilarious.
I'm like literally mouth open, just like going between both of them, and they're like, yo, Lara, you good? I'm like, yeah. And like one of my other friends, I remember like she's like changing her clothes, and like she said I just stared at her for like 5 minutes. She's like, hey Lara, like is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, why? And she's like, because you've been staring at me for like 10 minutes. And I was
so
like,
the signs were really there.
And I was like, really? And I was like, just like a natural, like that just really goes to show like you don't choose to be gay. Like it's just there. Like I didn't know. I still didn't realize that until years later. And then back to the guys thing, like there was like two guys that I really liked. This guy that was like a pretty boy, and I liked him for like a year. But it's also because we didn't kiss, we didn't do anything, like maybe occasionally held hands.
Yeah, do you think if you tried to kiss, you'd be turned off? Like you would have been like, ooh.
And normally other guys that like I had a thing with, like as soon as they would kiss me, I'm like, one gotta go, and it's me. I'm out. Fucking gotta go. You know, and I didn't understand it. Like I remember like I dated one guy that was cute, kind of looked like a little Nick Jonas. It was all good. Everything was fine. Same scenario with another guy that I dated for like 9 months. Everything was great.
All this is in Orange County at this point, right?
All of this is still in Lebanon.
Oh, you're dating guys. You're like actually dating guys in Lebanon.
I'm trying, yeah. Like I'm like 14 to 16. Like you're like a child.
Damn, okay,
you know?
all right.
So I'm like going out with all these like guys, and then as soon as they would kiss me, I'm like, I don't like them anymore. Like I don't know why. And I didn't understand it. I had no idea. Like things like that. Time I got to America, I'm 16. I'm in America, and I'm like talking to my two friends that are into girls, and I'm like, I think I might be bisexual. Like I don't know, whatever. And I start. You know, I'm like, start modeling, like a year goes by, I'm now modeling like in LA, like whatever. I'm starting to meet cuter, like male models. And I'm like, oh, okay, like whatever. Still not quite figured out the whole thing with the girls. And
sorry, male models cracks me up. It just makes me think of Zoolander.
Yeah, I mean, they're very
so what do you think about male models?
Yeah, so this last guy that I like went out with, like I like probably was like talking to him for like 2 weeks to like a month, or like maybe like a month. And he was beautiful. He was like 6'4", like abs, like blue eyes, big pink lips, blonde hair, tan skin.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
I love fucking chiseled abs.
Like,
that shit is hot.
Like Abercrombie model hot, but hotter.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy is like aesthetically a straight 10. You know, anything else, not a 10. You know, not a 10. And you know, like I'm like, okay, I go to my friends. I'm like, you guys, I think I'm bisexual. I think I'm gonna hook up with this guy. I think I'm gonna do it. And each one of them gives me different advice. I've never slept with anybody at this point. So one of my friends is like, I would do it. You know, you don't know when you're going to be comfortable enough to hook up with a guy again. Another friend.
That's a fucking hilarious piece of advice.
She turned out gay, by the way.
That's a hilarious piece of advice.
So she's like.
It's like, quick, fuck a guy before you turn lesbian.
Yeah, she's like, you never know when you're going to feel comfortable. And then this other friend is like, I don't think you should do it. I think you should wait until you're like in love with somebody to sleep with them. And then the third one was like the best advice. I now know this. And she was like, you know, I have friends that are gay guys that didn't need to sleep with a girl to know that they're gay. So obviously, I went with what the first girl said, and I was like, I'm gonna go fuck this guy. You know, I was like, you know, at this point, I'm like 17. I'm like, I'm gonna go do it. I'm literally gonna go hook up with this guy. Like, he's cute. Like, let's go. And so I call him. I'm like, all right, pick me up. Like, let's go. Like, whatever. And we're like driving. He's like, oh, let's go back to my place. I'll cook you dinner. And I'm like, yeah. All of a sudden, we're in the car. My heart.
Wait, let's go back to my place. How old was he?
I don't know. Maybe. Like, he was probably like 25.
Oh shit.
No, like maybe I was probably actually like 18 at this point, like early 18. I don't know. Like, yeah, like early, I was having that conversation like late 17, 18. Some shit. Got it. So because I remember thinking he's legal. But he was definitely like 25.
But he's definitely older.
He's definitely older.
Yeah.
Like, I think he was like at least like
I mean, when I
years older.
was like 17, 18, I hooked up with some mid 20-year-olds.
I never like talked to guys that were my age. They were always like 3 years older. And then the guy that I liked the most in Lebanon, like after the other guy with black hair and green eyes, was another guy with black hair and green eyes, just like way more buff.
So that's clearly your male type. Like if you did have one, that was
like,
well. But also, guys our age at that time are fucking idiots. Do people remember what guys are like in high school? The buffoons is what they are.
They're idiots. Yeah.
Buffoons.
Like
literal buffoons.
Yeah, like the worst.
So he takes you back to his place.
So he's like
cooking dinner.
No, so we're in the car.
Oh.
We're in the car, and my heart starts beating so fast. Like, I'm feeling nauseous. Like,
you can hear it.
Like, I'm like I got like a knot in my stomach, and I'm like, oh my God, like, and I'm getting hot. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I can have sex with this guy. I don't think I could do it. Like, I'm freaking out. And then I go and I'm like, okay, like, we should just pull over and like have like dinner like right here. And he's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm 100% positive. So
anything to not go back to his place.
This is actually probably gonna be the best podcast that I've ever made, because it's my first podcast, and also like I'm like
we're getting all the stories, baby.
I'm open book, like all these stories that nobody's ever heard of, but like just great.
I fucking love them.
I love it. You're getting the tea, the top of the tea. So we go and we're like, okay, and like we pull over, we have this dinner, whatever. After that, like he gave me a goodbye kiss, and I remember counting the seconds of the kiss in my head, like 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. Okay, maybe 1 more Mississippi, because otherwise it's gonna be weird. 3 Mississippi. Okay, I can't do it anymore. I'm out. Like, you know. And so I just like dipped, and I was like, I can't, like, I'm just, something's not clicking, whatever.
Yeah.
And then like a week later, this girl texts me. She's like ridiculously hot. You know, she's got like abs, like nice, like everything, like whatever. And I'm not gonna say her name, but you know.
Oh. But we would know her name.
Everybody would, yeah. If it's somebody that's been following me from like being gay for like a long time, they would know. They would know. So anyways, I like, this girl's like messaging me, and she's like, yeah, can you come to like come meet up with me, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, like sure, whatever. And so I go, I take her for a movie, like whatever, and she kisses me in the theater.
Ooh.
And I'm like.
This was the first person you've been with, the first female you've been with, right?
This is my, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is my first, yeah. So she kisses me and I'm like.
Gay.
Yeah,
so
baby
cute.
gay. So she kisses me and I'm like, oh my God, like, I really like that. This is what it's supposed to feel like kissing a girl and like being into it and like, oh.
Actually liking a kiss.
Yeah, actually like enjoying it, not counting like the seconds of like how long it is or like what the fuck is happening.
1 Mississippi.
Yeah, like, you know. And I remember she was Brazilian, so she's a little spicy. And I remember like I go to drop her off at her hotel. And she's like, okay, are you gonna come up with me? And I'm like, no. And she's like, come on, I don't want to sleep alone. And I'm like, no. I'm like still a little nervous because I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm like, I don't, like, no, this is like so weird. Like, we just kissed. Like, this is so quick. You know what I mean? She's visiting town. Like, she lives in New York. And she's like, I want what I want, when I want it, and I want you right now. And I remember like, she like came and like licked my ear or something. And I was dying. I was like, oh my God, I'm like feeling things. Like, I don't know what's happening. And she's like, come on, come upstairs with me.
Damn.
And I'm like, with like an accent and everything. And I was like, no. This went on for like, I want to say like 10 minutes. Then she goes, okay, fine. Gets out of the car, opens the door. And then I'm like, oh, thank God she's out of the car. I'm going to make it back to LA. Like I'm going, it's good. I'm calling it a night. And she opens the car door up.
Oh, fuck.
Gets back in the car and she's like, you have 3 seconds to decide whether or not you're coming upstairs with me. And I fucking parked the car and I got out and I was like, yes, ma'am.
Wow.
And I get up and I go to the hotel room and I call my sister. My mom's out of town. My mom, like at this point, doesn't know that I'm gay. Not talking about it. I don't even know if my mom knows
But
this
you
story.
at that point thought you were bisexual, right?
I'm still thinking I'm bisexual.
Right,
I'm still thinking I'm bisexual. I have no clue.
But
Never
you've like
slept with
told
anyone.
your sister you think you're bisexual, da-da-da.
Yeah, so I go to my sister. I call my sister. Hey, like, I don't want you to worry about me tonight. I'm not coming home. I'm going to spend the night at the hotel with this girl. She told me that she's afraid of sleeping alone. My sister starts dying, laughing on the phone. She's like, Lara, you're an idiot. She's going to fuck you. Have fun. Bye. Love you. And I'm like, huh?
That's hilarious.
I'm laying in the bed thinking like a fucking baby gay. Like I'm like a baby gay. We're going to have an amazing night of romantic sleep. She comes out.
Romantic sleep.
You know? And she comes out.
We're gonna cuddle.
In lingerie.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
And I was like,
damn, that's really like intense for the first of anything. Even if you're gay, not gay. Is that common for lesbians?
And I was dying. I was like, wow. I was like, she came out in lingerie. Like aesthetically, this girl is like a 10.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of wrongdoing in the future, but like on her end, but like she was a 10. Like at this point, I'm like, damn, like this girl's so hot.
I'm like Brazilian and fiery.
Brazilian. She's like a 32 double D, but like a 23-inch waist. And I'm like an idiot, like half boy on the inside. I was just dying. I was like, oh. And then we end up hooking up. Okay. And I'm like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like. And I'm like, I think I might be gay. And that was like my aha moment, you know? And I remember just like laying in bed after we hooked up and I'm like laying there like this, you know, my arms like behind my head. And she got up to go drink water and I'm like looking at her like body and I'm like, oh my God, I am so gay. Like so unbelievably gay, you know?
Wow.
And like, you know, I was just thinking this girl's so hot. Like she models for Victoria's Secret and shit. Like I just like lost it to like a Victoria's Secret model. I was like losing it like a fucking idiot.
That is know? Like I think that's any guy's dream. So you really like lived that.
I guess, yeah. Like I was absolutely loving it. And then like, fast forward, like we ended up in a relationship for like a year and a half and I moved to New York.
Was it right? Like, did you guys start dating immediately after that? Or was like, there kind of a...
Like probably like we just started like hanging out here and there and like for probably like 9 months went by and she like didn't want to be in a relationship with me. But like she technically was in a relationship with me and like me being in a first relationship, like I don't understand what that means.
Yeah.
Like... But now I do, like, because, you know, she did some things with, like, other people and stuff like that. So I had, like, she moves to New York. We live together. And, like, I have a horrible heartbreak, like, a literal horrible heartbreak. Like, nobody knows this story, but, like, we go to Coachella. She meets a guy with me at Coachella and, like, hooks up with the guy, you know? But meanwhile, at that time, like, to the best of my luck, literally the best case scenario that could have happened, there was one other girl that I was head over heels for that was straight, okay? head over heels for this blonde girl, just like, and like she was like so dope, also like another Victoria's Secret model. And I was like, I remember like walking into this place, like I'm not explaining this well.
Coachella?
My ex and me, we were at Coachella. She meets this guy. She hooks up with this guy.
Are they like together after this?
They're
Coachella?
still together until now, and it's been like 5 or 6 years.
Fuck up.
It's crazy.
Wait,
it's
so
crazy.
she turns straight and then or turns bi, and then the girl
She
who's
told
straight,
me-
you turn gay.
Well, hang on, we're jumping to conclusions. But yeah, I love this fucking story. This is like one of my favorite
This is such
stories
a great
to tell.
story. My head is going crazy
Yeah,
with
it's
like pinging across each other.
Yeah, it's like a fucking like movie. But so we're at like a year and a half relationship. We go to Coachella, whatever. she meets this guy whose name I'm not gonna disclose.
Fine.
You know, friends with like Bella Hadid, Kendall, like this whole crew. And I'm like, okay, obviously way cooler than me at this time. And so she goes, spends the night at his place, like whatever, thinks I don't know. Simultaneously, like I call her, I'm like, hey, like, you know, like, why'd you spend the night at this person's place? Like, whatever.
While
like,
you're at Coachella together?
No, I went back to New York. That's the missing part. She stayed in LA, spent the night at his place. I left to New York. So that explains it.
I was like, I thought you guys were at the festival together.
So
And then you guys,
she meets him at the festival, spends the night at his place. I go back to New York. Okay. And then I call her. I'm like, hey, like, why'd you spend the night at his place? Whatever. She starts yelling at me, you know. I'm still young. I'm like 18 at this point. Like, I have no idea that this means, or like 19. I'm like, I have no idea that this means that a person cheated or like hooked up with somebody or whatever. Oh my God, she's gonna fucking hate me for fucking saying all this online, but let go and let God.
Dude,
So,
I mean, it's your story also.
Yeah, so this is the reality of the story, you know? So meanwhile, that happens. I'm like, all right, I'm obviously like bummed and shit, you know? And I remember going to go meet up with one of my friends, and lo and behold, this girl that I have a major crush on, like absolutely major crush, this other Victoria's Secret model. And I see her in this like office of my friends, and she's like so sad. She's like crying. And I'm like, oh, like, is everything okay? Like, I'm gonna go get lunch. Like, do you wanna get lunch with me? And she's crying about her boyfriend at the time. And she goes, yeah, sure. I have no friends at this point in New York, literally no friends. And I have my ex-girlfriend and one of our mutual like best friends.
Her boyfriend's not that guy, right?
No.
Oh, okay,
like
because
different.
my head almost like exploded thinking
no,
that. Holy shit.
No.
I was like, wait, fucking second.
No. So ex-girlfriend is still
in LA with the guy.
Right. I'm seeing my other crush, like I like the same girls. Like if I think a girl's hot, it doesn't change. It's still the same girls that I think are hot.
Yeah.
You know? So I see this girl, she's sad about her boyfriend.
I think the people you think are hot are hot. Like,
thanks.
So, yes.
They're 10s. They're all 10s.
Yes, they're all 10s.
They're all 10s. You know, so this girl, she ends up like having lunch with me. She's Dutch, you know? And I'm like, oh, I love the Dutch girls, you know? And so, you know, we go and she's so nice. This girl is so nice. And she's like talking to me. It's like a little awkward. I'm like, damn, I don't know if this girl knows that I'm gay. I have a crazy crush on this girl. And she's like, okay, like whatever, and leaves. And I'm like, okay. Me and my ex is doing her thing in LA with this guy, like, you know, whatever, I don't know. And this other girl will not stop texting me.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, and she's like, oh, like, what do you like? What's your favorite food? What's this? What's that? And I'm like, why is this girl asking me all these questions? And you know, we just kept talking, and she's like, I'm in Bahamas, but I kind of wish you were with me. Like all these things. I still have no idea. I'm a baby gay. I have no idea how to hit on girls, no idea that a girl's into me, no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
So lost, okay? And so we go and like, you know, time is going by. She's talking to me. My ex is now coming back to New York. She comes back to New York, and, you know, she's on the phone with somebody like the whole time, and it's this guy, but she's telling me it's Cami Marone. And I'm like, you know, who? Cami Marone, who's like Leonardo DiCaprio's current fiance.
Oh.
Okay.
So she must be young then.
You know, yeah.
Oh, Leo.
Side note, the greatest compliment I've ever gotten from one of my friends is that I'm the Leonardo DiCaprio of lesbians.
Hey!
And I make jokes, and I'm like, the girls are getting younger too. I'm like, last girl I did something with was like 20 years old, and I'm like, ah! Like,
you are the Leo of lesbians.
Thanks. I'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
Side note for anybody listening, if you have a hot lesbian friend, tell her that she is the Leonardo DiCaprio of lesbians. I guarantee she will love it.
Make her blush for days.
Yeah.
Okay, so this chick's messaging you from the Bahamas on what, like a modeling trip or whatever?
She's on a yacht, like doing her thing.
Having fun.
You know? Yeah. And she's like, I wish you were with me. And so my ex comes back to New York, whatever. She's talking to the guy. I'm talking to this girl, you know? And so, but like, you know, we're still kind of like, should we work things out? I don't think this girl's hitting on me yet. Like, I don't think so at all. And so I'm like, I need to go to London for work. I just signed with like Storm Model Management. I'm working on my modeling career. It's go time.
Yeah.
So I leave. We decide that we're going to be on a break. And she has no idea, my ex, that every single email that she's sending to herself for some reason is logged in on my phone. So I'm getting every single email. So I'm in London getting email notifications of her sending clothes to this guy's house.
Oh shit.
So everything, Ubers, what time she's going there, like what time she's going to her hotel. And I'm like, damn, like this is crazy. Like talk about like a trauma of a breakup.
Jesus Christ, that's insane.
So I call her and I'm like, look, I just want to be broken up. I don't even think we should be on a break, because if we're saying that we're going to be on a break, that means that I trust you and I don't. So then I go full force talking to this other girl, okay? This other girl, I'll give her name because I think she deserves the credit. I think she's dope. Okay?
Cool.
So me and are talking.
Well, I gotta look up what she looks like.
Yeah, look up what she looks like.
All these people
I don't
are
know.
so
I don't know how
hot.
she's gonna feel about me putting her name out, but like she's dope. Like, you know, I love her.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I
What
know.
the
Crazy.
fuck, Laura?
I know. I know.
She's hot.
She's so hot. She's super pretty and super nice. Like she's super nice.
She does
like,
look really nice.
Super smart too. Like I think she speaks like 5 languages or something.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, like super like, you know. So she's a 10, my ex is a 10, but one's nice and one's kind of sour.
Great.
Like, you know,
Well, one's a cheater and the other one is
chill.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah. So this girl's like talking to me like every single day, and we're talking, and like I'm texting her like a lot, and like I'm not gonna like disclose the context of the contents of the conversations, but I still have no idea that she likes me. And I'm staying at her friend's place in London. And he tells me, he's like, by the way, I just want you to know that like I think she likes you, because I haven't seen her in 2 years, and she called me to ask if you could stay at my place in London instead of a model apartment. And she also talks to you every day and FaceTimes you every day. Like, I know her. She doesn't do that with anybody. So I'm like, okay. And so I decide, as I'm going back, I've been in London for a month, and I'm going back to New York. Me and my ex are broken up, but she still lives at my apartment. We're still sharing a place. And
what the fuck?
So I'm like, okay, I call my friend Victor, and I'm like, can I come and stay at your place? I'd love to figure things out with this girl and see if she actually is into me, because as far as I know, like she's super straight, you know? And I'm like, I would love to like figure things out with her and see if we vibe, because I feel like I like her, before I go run into my ex. I get back to New York. My ex sees that I'm going back to New York. She runs to our apartment because she's been watching like and me like comment on each other's photos, and she's like, oh my God, all of a sudden like she's like, who's this other girl, you know? Like, you know, if you're like a kid, you want what you can't have kind of thing. So all of a sudden it's like somebody else is playing with your toy, and I'm the toy, and I'm getting played with by somebody else, you know? And so I go and I hang out with this is like the first time that we've been hanging out after like talking for like a month and a half. And I am so nervous. I don't remember actually like, it's like the last time I was like that nervous with like a girl. It's like quite difficult to get me there. And I was like mad butterflies, like
so cute.
Mad butterflies. And I actually remember like, we didn't really like plan to like go hang out. Like I got back to New York, and I remember like being on like the side, like I was like walking somewhere, whatever. And she like hit me up on FaceTime. She's like, oh, like, what are you up to? I was like, I'm just like walking around. She's like, oh, like, where are you? Like what cross streets? And I was like, I don't know, like 14th and like whatever. She's like, oh, okay, cool. Look across the street. And so she just like pulled up and like walked, and she's like, let's go get some coffee. Like we like hung out, like kind of like, from what I remember, like something like that. And so like we went and hung out. I was like so nervous. And then we were supposed to have dinner that night. So then I remember taking her to dinner that night, and I just like couldn't eat because I was like so nervous, like just so nervous. And then I lived in like financial district, and like she lived in Tribeca. So we were like making plans with each other. I'm like, let's go hang out like uptown. We're like, you know, like she's like avoiding somebody, like she's avoiding her dude, and I'm avoiding my ex.
Oh, so you're like, fuck this area. Let's go.
Yeah, well, I'm like, let's go like as far uptown as we possibly could before it gets ghetto, like, you know. So like we're going up, and then that was like the first time that we kissed, and like, you know, like we're like, you know, she's like, we're confused, like she's like confused, and like, you know, we never ended up like sleeping together, but like we talked for like 9 months, like, and now we're like homies and stuff. And like, I think like the takeaway from it is she helped me out of a really bad toxic situation that I had. And I don't know if she like still has those things with her sexuality. Like she has a boyfriend that she's like super in love with right now, and I'm super happy for her. But like the way my takeaway is like, I was in a terrible situation and I didn't realize how bad it was because I was so young, and she helped me out of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then she also gave me like a lot of my friends, like her and one of my other friends named Denise, like introduced me to all of my friends in New York. And I started meeting all of these people and all of these girls. And I started learning like how to flirt with girls and how to like be more open. And I think when I first started talking to all of those girls, they would be like, Lara's hitting on me. And like now they're all like my best friends. And it's shifted. And I like to think that this little sand amount of people, like this grain amount of people, I've been able to have a positive impact in their life when it comes to understanding people's sexuality and understanding what it means to have a friend that's gay, and that it's not what you think. I'm not butch. I'm not dyke. I'm not a guy. And yeah, I like to get my hair and makeup done, but I'm never want to do my nails, you know? So like I have like certain like
oh, that's
boundaries.
hilarious. I fucking hate doing my nails.
I hate it. I'm
so
like, I don't want to
annoying.
sit there for 2 hours. I'm annoyed and I can't use my phone and shit.
so annoying. It's just like, ugh, and then they just get ruined so fast.
But I love getting my hair and makeup done, you know? So it's like two entirely different things, but
I like having them done. I don't like getting them done. It's such a different thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like I like having nice clothes. Don't like shopping as much.
Yeah.
Wish it would just get sent to me. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Just have it pop up.
Yeah.
Like, exactly.
Just fucking dress me. But no, I feel like it's honestly, that story's so relatable to so many people, regardless of the lesbian aspect.
Yeah.
Like when you're in a toxic relationship like that, especially when you don't know other kinds of relationships when you're so young. And even like myself, I was hooking up with this guy for like 8 months. I think this was like last year, maybe at this point. And it was just horrible. Like selfish, really obnoxious, whatever. And
selfish girls are like, selfish people are the worst.
Just in bed, it's like a catastrophe. Like, what the fuck is going on? It's like an absolute horror. I don't even understand. Like, it's crazy. Like, I would ask for some things and he would say no. Which, I've never been with anyone who's done that. Like, that's just, it was so weird. But it got so comfortable. I got so used to it and it just became like a regular thing.
Well, let me tell you, dating hot girls, majority of the time, it's a me situation.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that's, so.
Like
well, he's a hot guy, so that actually makes a lot of sense. A very hot guy. And he's like, you know, they're like that. And it's, but it can be really tricky. And then the first guy I got with after him, super selfless, really nice, just like all of that. And I was like, oh, whoa.
You gotta pick through the weeds.
You forget, you can get so clouded. And so having that kind of relationship where you got to have a sample of like a genuine connection with someone being good to you. So, you know what I mean?
Thoughtful, like she was super thoughtful, nice. It was like, it was honestly such
healthy.
Yeah, it was like honestly such like a compare and contrast kind of like situation. And like it really like forced me to grow in that way and like learn that difference. And like, I think everybody can relate to this. Like your first heartbreak is the worst. Most of the time, the first person that you date sucks. Yeah. You know, like you don't know yourself. You don't know what's good, what's not good, you know? And I honestly, like, I just stayed single for like 5 years until like my last relationship. And like my last relationship, like she's a sweetheart. Like
I met you guys together, right?
Yeah. Like, you know, she's like Carrie, like she's super beautiful.
Never forget thinking how hot you guys were together. I was like, this is insane. Like if you guys produce babies, it would have been nuts.
I know. Honestly,
dangerous to the world.
I think she's like awesome and like super selfless and stuff like that. Yeah. But I'm like the type of person, like I get like a little bit overwhelmed and I'm like, oh, like I need to do this work. And you know, I'm working on like a crypto project and like I still want to like learn how to DJ. And I'm kind of like in a moment right now where like I'm on like my own spiritual journey, feeling like I need to learn to better vocalize myself, which is why I'm so happy that we're doing this so that I can help other girls accept themselves and their sexuality. So I was like, I think I'm just not quite ready for a relationship at this very moment, but like my love for like my past relationship is so vastly different than my ex because she was so like good to me. We had like minor hiccups and differences like as far as like communication, but she was actually a good person, like with a good heart and like selfless. And that's super hard to find. Like if I'm like, I need to go to this thing, like the crypto event where you probably met us. She's like, okay, I'll go with you. Like she never left me like go like alone or something like that. And like that kind of person is hard to find, especially like taking into consideration like somebody's aesthetics and how they look. Most girls the hotter they get, they're not that nice. They're really like,
honestly, guys are quite similar. I won't lie. Like it's
like they're not like, and then you occasionally like you gotta like filter through them. And then occasionally like
you find a unicorn.
Yeah, like there's some like other girl that I met recently that like we're kind of homies, but like maybe we might like talk. Super dope. She's so nice, like spiritual, like ayahuasca, like mushrooms, like super woke.
Like
like
a lot of shrooms around this house. Yeah, so many.
I love it.
Just breathe in somewhere and probably taking some shroom.
But yeah, so she's like, you know, like you kind of gotta like weed through people, I guess. And like a lot of like sour apples, like a lot of girls text me like crazy stuff too. Like some girl today texted me, she's like, I'm a lesbian. But like, I just feel like the person that I'm with right now is really special. And I'm like, you're gonna tell me like your boyfriend of like, I don't know how many years.
Oh, no way.
What?
Dude, that's,
you know,
that's hard because the guy is dating someone who's like not, like that's fucked up a bit.
She said they were in an open relationship.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't know if it's true or not true.
I never know. When guys tell me that, like I don't know. I find it so, unless I have confirmation that I know they're actually in an open relationship, like I'm not trying to hook up with, like I feel like that's fake all the time.
I think the open relationship is bullshit. Like normally if a girl tells me she has a boyfriend, my response is, I won't tell if you won't tell. And then I just go and tell all my friends because I get so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I have this girl, so cute.
It's so hard for me to keep quiet about that kind of shit. If I'm getting with someone, I want to like just let people, like even if it was bad, I want to let people know because then I have a story. Either way, I'm trying to tell people.
Like I for sure tell my best friends, but like but there's like some people that you just know, like that person is a hard pass. Don't tell them.
Yeah. So well, some people talk a lot, but you, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen the forum, the L chat forum?
Dude, there's a forum.
There's
of me
a whole
on it.
10-page thread about you, like tracking who you're dating.
Oh my God.
It's one of the funniest. Like it's crazy.
Dude, I tried to check it out like fucking like a week ago. I was like,
I read through like 3 pages and I was like, damn, this is
long.
long.
They blocked my IP address. I was like, damn, I kind of just wanted to go hang out with the lesbians that like my story.
I have it open on my thing. Yeah. Wait, do you? Are you serious? They blocked you?
Yeah, they blocked my IP. It's
actually kind of hilarious.
But I don't comment on anything. I don't know how. Like, there's no way they know it's me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Hey, if you guys are on the L chat, you guys could have talked to me. Why would you guys block my account?
That's actually so.
Anyways, well, I didn't have an account.
It was so funny, but yeah, they track a lot of like who you get with or pictures.
Yeah, I think the first one with my first ex has like 200,000 views or something.
Oh no way!
Yeah.
Oh shit! I just saw your most recent one.
Yeah,
then.
I think they started. I think what they did is they branched off actually and created a new one when they thought I would start dating Rosemarine. And then they would be like, oh, like, they're both at San Ambrose. They both posted the same thing. Oh my God, they're both at Catch Steak. They're both whatever.
Check the screenshot of the story. Look at this tweet.
Oh my God, Rose and Laura.
They're in the background of this photo. You can see them eating dinner. Like, it was crazy. I've seen so many of that shit.
Crazy. And I'm like, these girls, like, detectives, like send them to the FBI. Like, you got a murder to figure out? It's the lesbians. The lesbians will fucking figure it out, you know?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's Facebook detectives.
Yeah, you need a real detective? Call the lesbians.
Dude, women in general, like I always find it so shocking. Someone's like, oh, I've been trying to find his ex. Like, I'm like, dude, give me 5 seconds. Like, I'm like, okay, hold on.
I love it.
It's not crazy, but yeah, I saw that forum and I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like, they really track
crazy.
it.
I mean, I think it died down for a little bit because again, I have not been vocal about my sexuality like at all. And this is the first time in 8 years of my life that I'm like, I'm ready to be out. I'm sick and tired of hiding who I am. It hasn't helped anybody or done anything. And now that's kind of what brought me to like the TikTok. And I think now there's some more activity going up on the forum because of that. And I, had this one day where I just like went to my now ex-girlfriend, Carrie, and I was like, she's been wanting us to be publicly out for a while. And I fought her on it. I was like, it's not easy for me. Like, I was like, I don't want to. And like, she was really loving and like, open to being out, and she's, as like she's not a lesbian. She's like in the middle, like bisexual, like kind of like likes both. I really admire that now, like her ability to be out with a girl. It's like really, really inspiring. And I think I took it for granted a little bit because I was like, I don't know. I was so caught up in my own insecurities, my own fears about being out. And then one day I was like, all right, you know what? Let's do it. Let's just post a video of us kissing and like see what happens. And so that, that we post that one.
Obviously, that went crazy.
It went,
obviously that went fucking crazy.
Yeah, so it got like something like, I don't know.
How many saves? How many saves did that one get?
I don't know. I would have to check my phone, but I think it got like 200,000 views or something.
Yeah.
And then I made one that was like kind of cute, like of me, like and how I ended up like having a girlfriend, like her being my girlfriend. And I think that one got 1 million. And then we did another one together about like how you're telling your parents that like you guys are just friends. Oh yeah, we're just like, you know, friends.
We're
like,
best friends.
Yeah, exactly. And that one got like 2 million, I think.
And
a
just
little over 2
kind of
million.
climbed from there, didn't it?
Yeah, and so basically like I just ended up like from there being like, all right, I'm gonna like post a little bit, whatever. And then we broke up, you know, we like parted ways because, you know, bickering and stuff, like just me trying to like figure out my life and figure out things. And I took like a little social media break and I started getting a lot of messages from girls. And they're like, hey, where did you go? Like, why aren't you posting on TikTok? Like, you know, please don't forget about us. And I'm like, oh, like
people care.
Yeah, like, you know, because I view it as like, I hate social media. I fucking hate social media. I hate Instagram. I hate having to be this hot girl online and that, you know, that it relates to my work. And all I want to do is be myself, but I'm afraid to be myself. You know, like I'm so scared. What are people going to say? What are they going to think? Are they going to like me? Are they not going to like me? Like, what's going to happen? And so I just stopped posting on TikTok for a little bit. And I started getting all these messages. And a lot of these girls too, like some of them are Muslim. Some of them are like, please, like I'm trapped in a country where I can't be myself. And the only thing that makes me happy is like watching your videos because you're Muslim and I look up to you. And like I'm born in Islam. I consider myself spiritual now, but I believe in like God, you know?
Yeah.
And these messages from these girls being like, you know, like, please keep posting. So I sat and I thought about it and I'm like, okay, like, what do I want to post? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm too shy to speak. I still haven't posted my coming out story there or anything like that. And I'm too nervous. Well, how do I articulate my thoughts in an easy way? So I was like, you know what? Dude with a sign, you know, he writes stuff. How do I make this niche specific? So that I use that, you know, because people see that and they're like, oh, you're a copycat. Instead of looking at it as me being like a copycat, actually, I'm a human being and I'm insecure and about my voice and like speaking and shy, just like anybody else. And I used a gift that he brought the world as a gift that I might be able to bring a niche community.
I think I had Matt Stefanino on the podcast. His episode's not out yet, but we spoke about like the repurposing of so many formats of content, and it's really common now. And we still consider ourselves all creators, even though a lot of us are. Like my podcast clips, I'm clipping them and I'm putting subtitles, whatever. That format is not new. Someone else did that shit. Yeah. I have a fucking how many podcasts are there? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I should never start a podcast because someone started a podcast before. Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing. It's, you know, it's a more unique format due to the sign, whatever, but it's a pretty cool fucking format. And I don't think he would have a problem with you taking it. I met the guy in Clubhouse once. He was like so fucking nice. Yeah. I don't think he'd give a shit. So, and it doesn't make the content any less meaningful. I think that's it's a shitty criticism, especially considering it's like how many of the same TikTok dances have you now scrolled through? Yeah,
that's true. I think that's a really well-spoken way of saying it, you know, and it kind of sums it up and yeah, that brought me to start like Lesbian with a Sign.
Yeah, I love that page, by the way. When I saw that, I was like, this is hilarious.
Yeah, and so my roommate was like, you got to make this into an Instagram so somebody doesn't take the handle. And I'm like, no, I don't think it's going to be that big of a thing. So I just started. I think I'm almost at like 500 followers now. And I like barely post on it because I get like social media overload. But, you know, I just like write crazy stuff on signs. Like 2 moms equals...
No daddy issues. That was hilarious.
You know, or like, let's be honest, you're into girls, you know? And I think that I realized, okay, I'm getting a response from this. People are liking this. And then I realized I kind of want to start to make a little bit of skits, you know, that still don't involve me speaking. Or like, you know, the other day I did a TikTok that uses that sound from the Hunger Games where she's like, I volunteer for tribute.
Oh, I saw that one. That was so funny.
Yeah, you should do like a little cut to clip to show people what it looks like.
Yeah, I will. I'll add some of them on overlays. They're honestly fucking hilarious.
Yeah, so I did like that one, and it's like when a straight girl says she wants to hook up with a girl for the first time. Yeah, and I think that one's almost at like 300,000 views or something like that. And so doing all these
resonating
skits
with people.
I started to realize 2 things. One being all of my friends are straight. Like all of my friends that are girls are straight. And what I think is funny, like I think this is hilarious. I'm like, oh my God, you know, this is so funny. And I show it to my straight friends and they're like, oh, like, yeah, that's funny. Like, but they don't get it. It doesn't really resonate with them that much, you know?
Which they're like, I mean, it's funny.
Yeah, like it's very niche specific.
I think some of it's fucking hilarious. Does this make me more gay?
Possibly, if you get the humor, it's possible.
Some of it's fucking jokes.
Yeah.
The No Daddy Issues, the Volunteers tribute, like those are so funny. They're
Some I think they definitely get, and some of my friends are like, "Whoa, Lara, like, are you really going out and just like doing that now?" Like, I think they're a bit concerned about like my mental health, and I'm like, on the complete contrary, I'm having a spiritual awakening.
Yeah, you finally have some clarity to really be able to be yourself. I've been loving watching it because I have, you went from someone who posted, obviously I love seeing like, I'm a big glam fan. I like hair, makeup, I like fashion. Right. So I love watching your modeling stuff, even though I'm assuming that is quite laborious to do all the time. But I saw you go from that to this content that really like embodies a lot of the parts of you that I feel like you were hiding before or not as open with. And it's really cool to see because it shows so much more of your personality and it shows a lot of who you are. Yeah. Even like the fun ones where you're just doing little dances with some captions over it. Yeah. I think that shit is really cool. And everyone can tell their story in different ways. And I think it's important to find the best way to express yourself. And it seems like you really do want to get into talking more and speaking about that stuff more. And I love how you've done it in this sort of slow transitioning, finding baby steps that you can take to make yourself more comfortable to get there. Like that's that's finding a system that works for you. And that's amazing.
I'm trying, like I started with the lesbian with the sign, then I started with the skits, and like I get comments like girls are like, please do more of this, do more of this. And I realized, so the two things that I realized was, one, I now have a community of girls that like girls, that understand my humor, that relate to it. And two, I realized I have the ability and like the opportunity, to make girls feel better about their sexuality. Instead of just, there's like girls that are like famous online, they're famous being into girls, but they're not vocal enough, and I think that there are other girls, that are famous models that look similar, like aesthetically on the caliber of like what I am of being a model and this and that, but they're not vocal about it. And for me, I'm so sick and tired of everything about sexuality being so serious. Why does it have to be so serious? Why can't we just make a joke, let people laugh about it? And like, that's what I want to do. Like, I realize I want to spend the next like year or more showing people that like, you can look like this, you can be cool, you can be fun to hang out with, you can be gay, and it's okay,
And it's okay.
It's okay to be gay, and that I think is where my heart's at right now, is just I really want to be a voice for women. I'm hoping that the girls that like girls will make me the queen of lesbians, will bestow this...
The Leo DiCaprio of lesbians.
And just, give me the chance to be able to make them feel better about themselves. And I think that there's not a strong enough woman in this community at this moment, at least not one that I know of that I've seen that is at my age and this form of relatability, being that Muslim background and things like that, where it's extremely difficult to come out and be yourself. I haven't seen it yet in this capacity. And I'm genuinely hoping with all my heart that I'll reach more people, use my voice for good, and hope I'll get messages from girls saying, you made me accept myself. Yeah. That's what I really hope. That would be like, I think my ultimate life goal at this moment is to make girls feel better about their sexuality.
I love that. We were talking about it before when we were outside when I was smoking my J, about how, lesbians are to a degree right now, like there's a problem of them kind of going extinct almost, because so many people are coming out as just either sexually fluid, whatever. And like the lesbian bars are going extinct.
This is why I focus on the straight girls, got to bring them to the good side.
Got to
handing out bi awakenings like it's a full-time job.
But it is interesting to see like how strong the gay guy community is. And I don't feel like they're really, I agree with you. Not that I'm really that involved, I guess, in the scene at all. So I don't know per se, but I
don't know either.
I've heard it from so many, like from multiple people that this is an issue. I've listened to it about it on podcasts, like random comedians have spoken about it, how there's just not that many gay bars anymore, like lesbian bars. There's only gay bars. Yeah. Like it's become, so I think that there is that need for that. I feel like some people aren't, and it's hard, especially when you're coming from two kind of silenced backgrounds. I feel like you're coming from the Muslim background, right? And you're also coming from a modeling perspective where models are not really speakers.
Yeah,
models are just models.
Like you're definitely not getting booked for your personality. Like that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But I think at this point in age, like I recognize even now, like I just signed like a worldwide contract with one management, and it's been a brutal contract to go through and sign.
Why? What's negotiating it? You mean?
Yeah, just like negotiating it. But I recognize that they value me as a
person,
as a Middle Eastern Western gay model with a voice, with a sense of humor, and times in the modeling industry are changing. And that has been able to like give me a little bit of leverage to, you know, like where they know your worth and like what you bring to them, you know, and see like your potential. And I think like it's coming around, it's coming together, but there's definitely like, yeah, models don't normally like vocalize things. Like I was just making stuff before where it's like, all right, I'm the pretty girl, I'm trying to like work and whatever. And I'm just like, I just don't care. Like, I don't care about being the pretty girl anymore. Like, that's why I got into crypto. I so desperately wanted people to respect me for something other than how I looked, you know, which is why I was like, I just want people to like respect me for my intelligence, know that I'm smart, know that I think about things. Like, and that's what got me into Web3. But like, even now, like the more that I'm adventuring and like going into things, I'm like, I actually don't care if people think I'm smart or not smart. I actually don't give a shit. You know, the only thing I actually care about right now is making other girls feel better about themselves. That's literally the only thing I want to do.
I fucking love that.
You know, like there's just like something that's like awoken inside of me that's like indescribable. And like I would always like write in my journal. Like I write in my journal every day and I meditate and I have like a specific routine. And I always say like, I'm ready for Lara 2.0. I'm ready for Lara 2.0. I'm ready for her to come out.
Hey.
And I feel like this newer version of myself is coming along the way. And I'm on an uphill battle of like learning to be vocal and speak and say all these things, which is why I'm happy it's like I'm facing you and talking to you. It makes it so much easier than just me talking to a camera about this stuff. But I'm going through it, you know, I'm going through growth right now. And I'm hoping that my growth and my journey will, like, I want to leave something meaningful on this earth. And I'm hoping it's something meaningful to other people's lives.
Fuck yes, dude. I think it's spot on. I do feel like articulating your own story to people, no matter, you know, sometimes you don't realize how relatable your stories can be. And when you get stuff out there and people, it resonates with people, even if it's a smaller group, even if it's a bigger group, whatever it is, it's crazy. Sometimes I look at content, I'll scroll through and I'm like, how the fuck does anyone like this? And then there's like so many likes, a whole fan base. People are obsessed with this person. They have a very successful Patreon.
Right.
There's an audience for fucking everyone. And trust me, there's a massive audience for this and a huge need for it, especially coming from the Middle East. Like we know this, we understand the culture. A lot of people I think try to, like, you know, people try to be really nice and like accepting. So they don't criticize what needs to be criticized about other cultures out of fear of being disrespectful to the cultures. And I get that for sure. Like, you know, it's hard to know what you can kind of, especially if it's not your culture, but when you're coming from it, like when we're coming from the same fucking place and we know what it's like in those families, we know what the sort of subtext is and how that feels. It's important to come out and speak, especially if you have the freedom to. You live in America, you have the freedom to, and you have the fucking platform to. Yeah. And you can really help a lot of people that way. Yeah. So, okay, we need to talk about your coming out story because I feel like that's
that's the sum
part.
Here,
that is, that's a huge part of this whole story. And it seems like this is almost like your second coming out, where now you're like coming out to the general public, and you're like, hell yeah, not ashamed at all. Like I'm putting this out there to fucking everyone because it's important. Yeah. What was the first coming out where you first started coming out to your friends, your family, your parents?
So my first coming out was when I was in that first relationship, and we had like just first started dating, or I think we had a thing for like 6 months. And I was like, okay, I'm like, I actually have like a girlfriend and like I really like her. Like I'm pretty sure like I'm into this and like whatever. And so I decided like, okay, I'm gonna tell my mom. And I call my aunt and I'm like, you know, like I'm gay. And I'm realizing that I'm 18 now, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna call my mom and I'm gonna tell her. And this is like my first time like working in London as well. And at this time, like I was there for like 3 months. So I was like, it's the perfect time to tell her, because if she gets mad, I'm literally not there.
She was still living in California?
She was in California.
Right,
my mom's in California. So I call my aunt.
Hilarious
I was like, I timed it like that. I was like, I don't want to be in the house in case this really goes haywire. And so, you know, I call my aunt. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna call my mom and tell her I'm gay. And my aunt's like, your mom's gonna get so mad at you.
Wait, was that the first time you came out to your aunt, or did she know before?
That was the first time. She didn't know.
Oh, okay.
So I first told my aunt.
So you came out to her and then you're like, now I'm gonna come out to my mom.
Yeah, I first told my aunt, and I didn't really come out to my aunt. I was just like, hey, like, look, this is the situation. I'm gonna say it. Do you have any tips for me to make sure that your sister doesn't get that pissed off at me. And this was like 8 years ago or something, you know, like I was 18. It was so long ago. And she's like, this is a horrible idea. You know, are you sure you're like this? Like, your mom's not going to take this well.
Are you sure you're like this?
Yeah, are you sure? Are you sure you're like this? Like, have you tried with a guy? Like, you know, the typical questions that they ask. And then I'm like, all right, I tell my sister, I tell my brother. My sister's like, you know, I love you, I don't care. Like, I've known for a long time. Like, mom's going to go crazy and she's not going to take it well. But if you feel like you want to say it, just do it. But it's probably not going to go well. And, you know, so I called my mom and I was kind of excited, like happy to say it, you know, because it's like you don't really know where it's going to go. And I was like, Mom, I'm gay. Oh my God. All hell was raised. She was like, you know that death stare that your parents give you when you like, when they like look at you and you're just like, they're dead silent and you know you're gonna get grounded, so grounded. But I was like, I'm 18 and I'm working, so like she can't ground me, you know, like, and I'm moving to New York and stuff, but I'm like, she gave me the death stare. Like, she was like, you're what? And I was like, I'm gay. And she's like, what do you mean you're gay? What do you mean you're gay?
Great accent.
You know, thanks. I practice it a lot. And she's like, I make it so much thicker than it actually is. It's like so bad.
I do that with my mom too. Like, I can't, her accent is impossible.
Oh yeah, it's impossible. So my mom's like, you know, this is haram. You cannot be like this. You know, like, you need to marry a man. Like, you know, all of those kinds of things, right? And it's like the typical, right? And I think at this moment, I'm like, fuck. Yeah, like there's no other word to describe it. I'm just like, this is not good. And she's like, you know, like, I don't want to talk to you anymore, like, whatever. So she got mad, closed the phone, had a meltdown, literally a meltdown. Like, she was heartbroken. Like, it felt like the death of a child to her, because everything that you're envisioning when you're envisioning, like, seeing your daughter get married,
walk down the aisle
with a husband, be taken care of, like, she felt like I took that dream away from her, you know? And I was like, I'm not thinking about this stuff. I'm 18. I'm like, you know, I just think I'm gay.
Yeah.
You know?
You're like, I like girls and they're all hot.
And they're all hot. Like, every single girl that talks to me is a 10, you know? So I'm like, I'm enjoying it, you know? And she's so mad at me. She's so mad. And she had a little bit of like a meltdown, a breakdown. Like, she like posted a few things online, like in the midst of the breakdown, that were just like not good and confusing, and like some people on the forum saw it. And I went in and I deleted her Instagram account.
Smart.
Because there was just too much posting, too much, you know, like she didn't have any time to actually process what I said. There was so much like reactivity first, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I like logged in, like, I think like completely shut down the Instagram or something.
What kind of things was she posting? Because wouldn't she want to keep it private?
You know, again, like, that's what I'm saying, is I think it was just like a meltdown. Like, you're doing things without thinking about it. You know, like, she's like, my daughter's gay, or like something weird, like weird comments that I don't think that she's even really aware of it today. You know, just like blackout. Like, you just black out unaware. You know what I mean? So like high
It
level.
can really happen when you get like that intense or emotional.
Yeah,
like,
high level of anger. Like, you know, like, my mom's legally blind, so I'm like mortified telling her, because I'm like, oh my God, like, is this gonna affect her vision? Like, can she go blind from this?
Was
like,
she blind back then?
She's legally blind, which means like she has like double vision and bad vision. She was back then. So like, I take care of my mom, you know what I mean? And like, I'll get into it a little bit later, but basically, like, if anything extremely stresses her out, it like kills nerves in her eye. So it's a very delicate situation to be telling her about my sexuality, an extremely stressful one.
Shit, so you're not even just worried about her being upset.
I don't give a fuck
In
if
the
she's
dynamic.
upset. I'm worried
You're worried
about her eyes.
actual health.
Yeah, like, I'm worried
That's
about her
fucking
eyes.
crazy.
So I'm trying to find a delicate way to, how do I tell her about my sexuality, but like, I'm concerned that she's gonna get extremely upset and it's gonna affect her vision. You know, and it did. because you know, she was getting like hazy eyes and having trouble seeing, like, because the level of frustration was like so high. Remember, I killed a dream for her. That dream was me marrying a man and her being a grandma in that sense. She's you know, a lot older now. Like, even at that time, she was like, you know, 50, like something, you know, and she'll kill me for saying that. So nobody.
She was 25.
25. She was 25.
The same age as
her daughter.
Yes.
You know,
5 years older. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know,
she's still 25 to this day.
Yeah, to this day. Yeah.
My mom's been 48 for like 10 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like
It's like
15.
a Middle Eastern thing. They're like, you said what about me?
I swear to God, 48 for like 15 years. Even
my
now.
grandma's 21. My grandma's 21. You know, my grandma, like in Arabic, she'll be like, "Shul tili, shu and amri shu," you know, in Arabic, just like starts like screaming,
screaming,
you know, fucking annihilating.
That's when
me.
we run when my grandma starts screaming.
Oh
in
my God. I mean, I bet the people that like understand Arabic are probably gonna die hearing me say that. They're like, "Whoa, Lara speaks like normal Arabic." But yeah, so basically, you know, I'm worried about my mom's health. I'm worried about how this is coming out, like telling her and stuff. She's like, I closed the Instagram because she's like posting some stuff. She was so mad, obviously, that I did that. My sister's like, "Why'd you do that?" I'm like, "I had no choice, you know." And so I go back to LA and I end up staying with my sister. And my sister fucking had my back. She like didn't see our mom for like a month. She's like, "What am I supposed to tell her, that you're here? I mean, I keep avoiding our mom because you're not ready to talk to her yet," and stuff like that. I was like, "Yeah, it's like super weird." So I went and I talked to my mom eventually, like after like a month. We didn't talk for like 6 months. Like the 3 months that I was in London, and like a little bit of time went by. I think I was like staying at my sister's house like a month or two, like something like that. And then I went and I like sat down with my mom, and it was like a horribly awkward conversation. And at that point, she still didn't accept me. It wasn't over. It was not over. And this is why I think like me telling this story is so important, and it's so difficult for me. So I'm glad that we're doing it like this.
Yeah.
So she still didn't accept me, you know? And I think at this point, this is where it's really important for me to say that this is something that people can, like girls that like girls, can relate to me on, or anybody that needs to come out about their sexuality. When you are faced with that moment with your parents, where you're coming out, where you want them to accept you so bad, and they don't, your first feeling is anger. Your first feeling is, I'm gonna get so mad at them for not accepting me, and I'm gonna move out, and I'm gonna run away, and I'm gonna do this and that. You know what I did? Of course I was mad. Of course I was angry. Of course I was upset. Of course I was hurt. Of course I was like, all I wanna do is talk to my mom about who I'm talking to and what's going on. And I couldn't. So I left, I moved to New York. We talked normal for years. Okay, she knew I was living with the girlfriend at the time. She hated her.
Did she ever talk about it?
She would just say, "That girl that lives with you." She never said your girlfriend. All of these things were obviously like hurtful to me, but you know, at that time I still didn't have the knowledge of things that I had right now, but it was just one of those things that we agreed that we didn't speak about.
Yeah.
You know, so years went by, and I would tell her like, "Oh, my friend Rose, or my friend this, or my friend whatever." And I think she knew, obviously, because there's always one girl that I was talking about a lot more than usual. And you know, from that time until, you know, 6 years, 8 years till now, right? I just didn't like explicitly say, "This is my girlfriend."
To her?
Yeah. Even like when it came to...
Even Carrie?
Even Carrie. Exactly. So with Carrie, you know, this is why I wasn't out with my mom. I didn't want to disappoint my mom. That's why I wasn't posting online. That's why I wasn't fully being myself. That's why I was turning down jobs that had to do with
to be
pride.
out with Carrie.
Scared like to upset my mom, my family, like all of these like things that you have stuck in your head from coming from a Muslim background. And like, you know, like this is a sin. Like it's a sin for you to be like this. And so, you know, with Carrie, like there was, you know, Carrie at one point wanted to come with me to Thanksgiving. So I'm like, "All right, you want to come with me to Thanksgiving dinner with my mom and like whatever." And so I brought her to like my family's Thanksgiving dinner, and my mom was like, that at that point she knew, right? Still, we haven't had a conversation about it. But for the fact of my thought process as I got older, instead of being angry, and this is the tip of advice that I give to girls that like girls and or anybody who's gay and needs to figure out, you know, what to do with their parents and their parents being upset, instead of being angry with them, think about the fact that they grew up in a different generation. They didn't grow up having the open-mindedness or having the opportunity to have the open-mindedness that we have right now. So is it really their fault? And I think that's something that people don't question enough, you know? So instead of getting so mad at my mom, I was like, you know, she comes from a different background. She comes, you know, living through a civil war, you know, Muslim background. The man is the provider. The man is the protector. That's what you know. That's what you're taught. That's what her dad taught her. That, you know, she got married twice. That's all she knows. You know, she hasn't traveled. She hasn't really explored because she's been around, you know, living in a specific style. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. People don't understand that enough. I think it's easy to judge someone who's not open-minded.
Yeah.
But I think the hardest thing that you can be is be open-minded to those who are not open-minded. And I think that's true open-mindedness, in my opinion. I feel like you should be someone who can, and it can be really difficult, especially when it's so attached to your identity and it's obviously like your fucking parents and stuff. But it is a really big adjustment for them. Like, I think, you know, it can be hard. Yeah.
It is hard.
I'm so scared of if I ever like fall in love with a non-Jew. Oh my God, like having to fucking
tell your parents.
Deal with that is gonna be like just crazy. But if it happens, it happens, and I'm not gonna like shy away from that just because of some archaic rule from like way back when, you know. And so I think that it's really, but I will be very patient with them because that's not fair to not be.
Yeah,
and I think grew up in a whole other world.
I think like having true love in your heart and open-mindedness and like being woke comes from greater understanding rather than the forced creation of understanding for somebody. Like, instead of this person needs to think this way because this is right, instead of that approach, why don't you put in the time and the commitment to the best of your abilities, as much as makes you comfortable, to get people to understand that? So instead of being mad at my mom, I was like, you know what? She's gonna need time to understand this. Yeah. I'm hoping that I'll catch her before the day that I'm gonna marry a girl. And every Sunday I take my mom out. Every Sunday
I love that you did this. That was so cute when you told me that. I was like, that's the cutest thing.
I take her to lunch and I spend time with her and I get her groceries and I'm her caretaker because she's legally blind. And I make sure that I go the extra mile to let her know that it doesn't matter that I'm gay, that I'm still there, that I still love her, that nothing is going to change. Nothing about my sexuality is going to change my interactions with her. When she's 75, when she's 80, when she's in that hospital bed, if something happens to her, I'm going to be there. And my sexuality has nothing to do with it. Yeah. You know? And so I put in that time for 8 years, taking her out, taking care of her, spending time with her, letting her get to know me in every other way. And then I decided to post the TikTok. And then, you know, I've actually been like having my mom do like a lot of spiritual work, go on journeys, if you know what I mean. And like, she's been putting in a lot of work to like opening up her mind. She reads a lot of things on like Joe Dispenza and like has gone to like, you know, actual courses and things like that. You know, really putting in self-work at her current age. Like, my mom is not young
It's pretty
anymore.
fucking impressive, dude.
She's
she's
in her,
only 25.
Like 25,
so
exactly,
you know,
25.
Still so youthful.
Still so youthful. But, you know, she's putting in so much work. And I tell her now, I'm like, you know, Mom, like, seeing how much you've been able to change and grow and be in tune with yourself, you're an inspiration to me. And I just want you to know that even if you think that you didn't do anything super great or leave any like crazy memory behind, like somebody who's president or somebody who's this or that, you left a mark on me. And the mark that you left on me is that you showed me that it doesn't matter how old I am, I can still change and I can still be a better version of myself. And that's what I want to teach my kids, you know? And so she ended up like, you know, she sees the TikTok, right? And
which one was this one? Was this the Carrie and you kissing?
It was, yeah, like one of those.
One of the first ones.
One of the first ones she sees. And she sees it and like we're hanging out and it's super awkward. So I'm like, okay, I know she's seen the TikToks. I'm I don't want to have the conversation because the conversation we had when I was 18 was so fucking unpleasant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to have this. But I'm also 25 years old now. I'm like a young woman, you know? And it's like, it's time to have this conversation. And so, you know, I'm at her place and whatever. She's like, sit down. And I'm like, fuck me. And I sit down and she's like, I just want to understand, why did you post this video with you and Kerry? And I'm like, because mom, you know, and I'm yelling, I'm so upset. And I'm like, because mom, like, you know, I'm just sick and tired of not being myself. I'm so sick and tired of it. I just want to be out. I just want to be myself. And she's like, but have you tried with a guy? So she still came at me with that angle, you know? I was like, Mom, I've literally tried.
That angle just cracks me up because I know that you've tried.
Yeah.
One Mississippi, two Mississippi pops up in my head.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious.
So yeah, now that you have, everybody has the entire
now we have
story.
the whole story. Like, we know you tried.
Yeah, so I'm like, yes, I've tried. Like, I'm so
also
not interested.
Your other friend who also gave you that advice, you're like, well, you know, maybe you should try because you might not be into guys.
She
after.
turned out
It's
gay.
Fucking hilarious.
She turned out so gay. Like, we haven't spoken in years, and I'm like, the last message I got from her is, haha, I turned out gay too. That's it.
That's fucking jokes. She's like, yo, I'm mad gay.
I think she tried it, but she was like debating if she's bisexual at that time too. That friend.
Yeah. Well, maybe she needed to try the dick and then to realize that that's
not for her.
No.
Yeah.
So your mom was like in that mentality, but do you feel like she came at you with a different tone than when you were 18, kind of?
Definitely a different tone. Definitely a different tone. So at this point, there was misunderstanding in communication where she was actually just asking me, like, trying to understand. Like, my mom's now very spiritual. I've made my mom into a hippie.
A fucking hippie, yeah.
She's a hippie.
Yeah.
Like my mom is like, give love to receive love. Everything has life. The plants, the soil.
Dude, our moms need to hang out. They would love each other.
I would love that. Yeah, so my mom's like a total hippie now. I've hypnotized my mom into being a hippie. But I fucking love it and I love her for it. And I make jokes. I call myself a bougie hippie. like I'll take the house, but I want to be in the middle of nowhere where nobody can talk to me. Perfect.
Yeah, but like a nice house, you know?
Nice house, yeah. Like, you know, like I don't want to be like with the rattlesnakes, you know, but.
Of course, no, not the rattlesnakes.
Yeah, exactly. So basically there was a different tone, but I was just on the defense mode. So I didn't recognize that there was a different tone to it because I was like,
You were traumatized.
I was just thinking, oh my God, this is going to be bad. But she was genuinely asking me, like, have you actually tried with a guy? You know, like, you know, and from here to here, I got to the understanding that she was like, I just worry about you. You know, I worry about you and your future and your finances and, you know, all of that, you know, are you going to be okay? You know, like, because as far as I've grown up, the man is the provider. The man is the one that takes care of you. And it's like, I'm looking at you right now. It's like, I know you're smart and I know you're going to be okay, but are you actually going to be okay? And I said, you know what, Mom? If the girls that like girls make me the queen of lesbians, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be okay. Because there's a lot of things to me that mean more than that. Like, I'm on a soul search right now. Like, I think like I've probably, like, if we believe in reincarnation, I've chosen this body for the sense of wanting to be noticed and wanting to do something good, right? And I want to make girls feel better about themselves. And I told her, I was like, Mom, I'm getting so many messages. These messages are the only reason I'm going back to TikTok and posting. I hate social media. I hate it. But now I love it. I think this is the first platform I actually like because I'm myself, because I'm connecting with a niche of girls that are like me. And I think I got to say thank you to all the girls that are following me right now, because every single one of those girls, every single day that I post shows my mom that it's okay that I'm gay. And I hope that it shows them that it's okay that they're gay. You know?
Yeah, it's nice when you have the reciprocate, you have the response from the people who you're creating for, that you know that people are actually listening, but not just that they're getting value from it, that they're legitimately, like, it's legitimately helping them. And I think that that's really powerful, and it's for sure going to be powerful for your mom to see that. Yeah. Is she active on TikTok?
She honestly now, like, watches every TikTok and, like, likes it and comments and laughs. So, like, you know, and she told me, like, basically the conclusion was, she was like, when I first saw this video of you, I was so angry. I was going to tell you, don't come to the house. I don't want to see you. I was like, that's the natural reaction, right? She's like, but I stopped myself. And I went and I meditated for 1 hour.
I love her.
She's like, and I got my crystals and I put them on my neck.
As I'm holding my rose quartz.
She goes,
It's fucking hilarious.
you're in tune with the universe, see?
Bro, my friend sent me this yesterday and I can't let it go.
I love it. It's the
like,
love one.
Yeah, it really is. I love it.
Yeah, you're getting love right now. I'm giving you love from my heart and the energy, you know?
I can feel your mom's shift and dynamic too, and like how that love has seeped in now. It's like pretty beautiful.
Yeah, so so she sat and she meditated for literally an entire hour. And she's like, and I asked the universe, I asked God, please tell me what to do. Should I be mad at her? Should I be upset that she's gay? And I found myself like, no, I'm not mad. I'm not upset that she's gay. She's actually like one of my only kids that is there with me all the time. Because I have 3 other siblings and they're not around. They're busy, you know?
One sister, one brother, and?
A half sister, a half brother, and a full brother. And my full brother's in Texas. The other brother's in San Diego. And then I have a sister who lives here but travels a lot.
Is the full brother is the one who you switched schools with a lot?
Yes.
Got it.
Exactly. So he's like closest to my
Your
age.
half siblings always lived in America, or did they come to
They
Lebanon?
always lived in America, way older than me, like 10 years
Got
older.
it.
And the half brother's like 3 or 4 years, full brother's 3 or 4 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically she just, she went, she meditated, like asked herself those questions. She's like, I realize, she's like, you're, the only kid that I really have that's still by my side. So I think it goes to show that like all those years kind of like paid off in teaching my mom. And now whenever I'm dating somebody, I'm like, Mom, I talked to this girl, or what do you think about this? And I can finally, after 8 years of waiting, like get advice from my mom. And she actually sent me a text like a week ago. And she was like, I love you so much. Please forgive me. I'm sorry I didn't give you the capability to be yourself sooner. And like, I just want you to be yourself and be happy because you're my daughter. And at the end of the day, I want you to know that I love you and I'm not going to be around forever.
What? That's really cute. I'm gonna fucking cry. That's like so sweet.
So she's like, I'm gonna be, are you crying?
Yeah, I cried yesterday watching Love Island too. I'm not sure what exactly is going on, but like that was really fucking sweet.
Yeah, so she sends me, I wonder if I could actually like, I wonder if I could find it and read it. Let me see if I could.
Yeah, find it.
Let me see if I could find it.
Man, it's crazy like to see people, I know she's only 25, but of that age, like be able to really grow and
it's amazing.
Like still develop and learn new skills and learn new things but she sounded like she came from kind of like, even though she wasn't open-minded about this, like she was open-minded about modeling. So she had the ability to kind of see things differently.
She had the ability for that growth for sure. And like she really pushed for it. Yeah. Like it was just like certain things, dude, they're just like harder to accept. They're harder to like wrap your head around and like understand.
Absolutely. It's a really, really big deal. Sexuality is just not the same.
Yeah.
It's not discussed the same. A woman has their place. It's like, and yeah, they do get worried. My mom is always worried about like finances and stuff with me. And she's like, when are you going to get married? And I'm like,
really? Yeah, she does the same thing with you.
Oh, I've been being told to get married since I was like 12 years old. They're like, when are you going to have a baby? I'm like, I just got my period for the first time.
Okay, I found it.
All right, let's read
it.
She
said, I'm so sorry that I made you wait all this time until I was able to accept you with an open heart. But now I'm so happy for you. And I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I apologize. Please forgive me. I love you so much and want you to know that you are a piece of my heart. You are so precious to me, and I will always have your back, regardless of what anyone says about you. I love you. Now go work.
Aww. Dude, that is a great, like, what a full circle moment.
Yeah, and, it really just... I just think that, people are quick to get upset when their parents don't accept them. And I think that it's hard. Everybody's circumstance is different, right? Because some people's parents react different. But I think rather than getting angry and being like, I'm going to cut them out, showing them like patience and perseverance and just like the will that you're still there and that not anything else has changed kind of makes it hard for them to not want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, it's easier for
Absolutely.
me as like I'm only dealing with one parent because I just generally don't talk to my dad at all because that's a
I was going to
different
ask you
topic.
like where he is in this picture.
Yeah, I just don't talk to him. He's not a very nice guy, so I just like detached from that completely. So like my mom essentially played like both roles, you
Is
know?
he Lebanese?
Yeah.
He is?
Yeah.
Was he living with you guys when you were in Lebanon?
No. He lived in Texas. He was here. Like, he got like remarried. So I have like more siblings. Like, I think I have like 7 siblings in
Jesus
total.
Christ.
For anybody wondering, I've got like 7 siblings. Yeah.
So when you moved, was he living with you guys when you were in California and then you moved to Lebanon?
Him and my mom like were both in California, and they were like divorced, and like I think they got divorced when I was like 3.
Oh,
And so like
got it.
yeah, so I would
Very
spend
young.
like weekends with him. Yeah, and he was fine when I was like younger, but like he was like all right. And then like I moved, and like he just had like certain situations, like I've endured like, you know, certain forms of like emotional and verbal abuse from him. And now we just don't talk anymore. And like my last conversation with him, I was like, you know, kind of like, I miss you. I'm really sad that we don't talk. And he called me trash. So,
Jesus.
you know, he doesn't know me, doesn't know anything about me. And so I just am like, I don't really want this in my life.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I don't have the space. I don't have the space for the hate in my heart.
Well, it shows also what you're talking about in terms of like the piece of advice that, yeah, it might not work for all parents, right? Like,
might not
you know,
work.
you did it with your mom, you're not doing it with your dad.
It definitely would not work with my dad.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a perfect example of it is like in some situations, yes, it's better to disconnect. But I think, you know, like seeing my mom's willingness to let me go and model and help me. And she literally moved to another country for me to be able to do that because I was underage.
Yeah.
My mom had a willingness to change. She had a willingness for growth. She wanted to connect with her kids. And she's always challenging herself to try and learn new things and grow. You know what I mean?
You can tell she has, I mean, I could tell she had that ability just by the modeling aspect, because that's also kind of a crazy
Yeah.
thing within the Middle Eastern culture, like to just go and do and like pursue. Like,
Oh, she got in a fight with our entire family about it.
Yeah.
About letting me model. Like,
Absolutely.
Like, I remember, like, my aunt and stuff, she'd be like, stop talking about modeling. You really think that you're going to go model? You can't model. Like, you know, you need to go pay attention to school. And my mom, like, turned and she's like, what did you say to my daughter? She's like, don't tell her what she can or can't talk to me about. If she wants to fantasize about, like, you know, or daydream about modeling. She wants to daydream about modeling. She can do it. Let her do it. I want her to. And my mom just let me like daydream about it like all the time. And I'd come back and I'd be like, well, mom, like maybe if I do this and I sign with this modeling agency, then I could do this thing. Then I could work for this client. Then I could whatever. And I paved the way of my career like that, you know, and became friends with like a lot of big models from that. You know?
badass. So when did you take your mom's last name? Because I know the last name you use is hers.
So legally, I don't have my mom's last name.
Oh, you're still
Legally,
under.
I still have my dad's last name, which I just kept because like whatever, you know, like
It actually might be smart to not have the same.
it's probably safer in a terms of like
Right.
it's a lot harder to hack me if you don't know like what it is.
Oh, although you did get fucking hacked. I can't believe
I
did
know,
put
I
that on
got
that list. Holy shit, that was a big deal.
That was crazy. I got
Yeah.
hacked to that. Yeah. But yeah, and then like I took my mom's last name like years ago, like when I first started modeling, because I was like, if I'm going to start being known in any capacity, I want my mom to get the credibility for it. I want my mom's last name to shine through and people to know like, hey, this is Lara Ghraoui. You know,
I was gonna
like,
ask you, how do you pronounce it?
Yeah, like, well, I say it.
How do you pronounce that?
I feel like I could do like a drinking challenge. So who says my last name right? Every time you say it wrong, you take a shot.
I'd be fucked
That's what I should do on my
Let's
birthday.
go.
Yeah.
Wait. Say it slowly one more time.
So the English way, I just say Ghraoui, Lara Ghraoui.
Okay, but that's boring. Ghraoui is easy.
Yeah, but I say Ghraoui.
Ghraoui.
You gotta like get down there. Yeah.
Like or
It's like a G. Ghraoui.
Ghraoui.
It's not bad.
Because we do we do like
Pretty
Hanukkah,
good.
Khumush,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
our,
you could say it. Yeah,
we have the
Ghraoui. Lara Ghraoui.
It's like,
Yeah.
after my tonsillitis, maybe I should stop. Yeah, I mean, I like that you took your mom's name. It's also like a signifier, you know. I feel like it's a thank you too for everything that she
Yeah.
did for your modeling
Yeah,
career.
it was like the least I could do. Like you know, I was like moving my mom from like a third world country back to America, where she's like, I don't want to be here, really. Like,
Did
yeah.
she loved Beirut? She wanted to stay?
she loved having family and everything there is like set up. Like my mom has like a house there, you know, she has an apartment here. Like, you know, but it's like a really bad economy there right now. So like, I think now it's for the best that she's here and everything happens for a reason. And, you know, she really like, she fought through a good amount of people as well to let me go model. Like, she got in a fight with all of our family. Like, they're like, you're really gonna let your daughter do that? And then she just picked up and left. And then I became like a real model and moved to New York. And all of a sudden it's like I'm doing ads for like Victoria's Secret Pink and Nordstrom. And I'm doing the casting for Victoria's Secret. And nobody ever said anything again. You know, even I think those girls that I got bullied, like I remember one girl like cornered me once and she was like, do you really think that you're going to be a model? Like, you really think that any of those girls that are Victoria's Secret models would ever talk to you? And like shit like that.
Like, you lost it to a Victoria's Secret model.
Yeah.
Hey, motherfuckers.
You know, and it's like, now, like, flip it and reverse it.
Yeah.
Like, friends with them, friends with so many, friends with like more interesting people than just models, like friends with tech people, like in America, like friends with like, you know, just the most random people. You know what I mean?
Dude, you're fucking killing it. Like what you do, the work that you do. I think, first of all, I think you're like a really talented model.
Thank you.
Modeling is not an easy thing. At least I don't think, because maybe I'm just a really bad like photo poser.
I think modeling is an easy job, but it's still physical labor. So that's the thing that people don't realize, right? So the thought process on it is, oh, you're just modeling. What an easy job, blah, blah, blah. Don't get me wrong. For facts to know that like I actually appreciate this job so much, I worked at In-N-Out. And I sold burgers for like 2 months because I was like, I want to make sure that I appreciate modeling and that I know what it's like to have a fucking normal, awful job.
Oh, praise be to you, because I did not work at In-N-Out.
Yeah, so I went in and I was like, getting people's orders. Like, imagine you just walk in and it's me taking your order. Hey, what can I get for you today? Like, yeah, a double ketchup only, 2 meat down.
So
like,
many fucking people probably came back to that In-N-Out like every day. Like, is Laura here? She taking orders?
I didn't look this good at that time.
Oh, did you not?
No,
not
I was
yet.
like kind of like, nah, I was like still in the beginning of like puberty.
Early
like,
days.
Early days. Yeah, I was like 16, 17. But I did it, you know, and I think it was a good experience. And, you know, back to the modeling thing is like, it's physical labor, right? So people are like, oh, modeling, it's amazing, it's glamorous. I shoot e-com. I'm shooting 100 to 125 outfits a day.
Jesus
so you
Christ.
tell me you want to open every piece of your closet and put it on and off? It's going to take you 8 hours. Try every single one of them on. And you're in heels. Now, if you do that 3 to 4 times a week, like at one point, I think I tore my like Achilles and they were like, you're going to need a shot or this is going to be a problem for you
tore
forever.
your Achilles tendon from modeling.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. And then when you look at it in other terms, like Victoria's Secret, I've done that casting 3 times.
For the runway show?
Yeah. So the first time got shot down, I was like super young. Second time got shot down. From the second time they turned me down, the day that they turned me down, I cried for a day. And then I picked myself up and I went to the gym. And I went to the gym every single day, like 6 days a week. Okay. I went every day until the next casting. And I went to that next casting. I was training like an athlete. I was like, for the first time in my life, I had a 4-pack. I think I was the only girl that went to that casting that year that had a 4-pack. And I put on 10 pounds of muscle. I was 103 pounds when I first started. And I went up to like 115 pounds. So small.
I could squish you.
Yeah. But I was like, I had crazy biceps at that time, but I was still tiny. Like I was still so tiny, but I was starting to look muscular.
Was this 2017?
I think it was like probably like 2018.
There's a video of you at the gym. Oh, it's your fitness Instagram story highlight.
Yeah. That's when I was like training all the. I was lifting like something.
I was like, damn, all right, get it, Laura.
I was lifting something like 150 pounds, like 200 pounds. I don't know, like something crazy. And so I go to training like an athlete. That's like the parts of modeling that are hard. And like you want to do Victoria's Secret, despite it. Like as far as like obviously we look at it as a brand, right? And the outlook on it as a brand is not good because they're not diverse enough, not open enough. Completely agreeable. Agree with everybody on that. Put that to the side. Look at it as far as being in my shoes, being a model. This is I want to make a living. I'm trying to change my life.
Dude, walking the Victoria's Secret runway show would be insane. That would be amazing.
But for me, it wasn't about walking the show. It was about like finances. I was like, I wanted to make real money and invest that money. I wanted to learn how to invest it as quickly as I could, buy property, invest in IPOs. Like I wanted to learn that shit and I didn't have the money to do it. So that was like, I was like, I want to get the show. You got to get that show 2 or 3 times. If you're lucky, you get an angel contract. But if you get an angel contract, Like, you're making 1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil, 7 mil, 8 mil, 10 mil, 12 mil. It's a life-changing amount of money. So for people that don't understand, that's why girls want to do that. It gives you like popularity, fame, a voice,
leverage, more jobs,
more jobs, like more contracts. You could get beauty contracts that are like $1 million, you know, like things like that. Yeah. And now over the years it declined. Like I would say like the last like good age was when like Sarah Sampaio and Jasmine and Lais and those are the girls that I'm like friends with. They got like that last stream, I think, of like what was before it really hit the fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now there's like that documentary about it, right? Victoria's Secret.
I haven't seen it.
There's like, I think it's coming out. I think it's called like Victoria's Secret. Like what's this? I don't even know. Yeah, it's like a whole thing, something to do with Jeffrey Epstein and shit.
Yeah, it's a mess, you know. But just like
regardless,
for perspective on why girls like are so interested in doing it. So like training like an athlete, and then you just get turned down like that. Like, and most girls, like you get turned down, you just go cry. Go try again next year, you know? And like I went to that casting. I got turned down for a third time after I trained every single day. I was like, that sucks. And mind you, I wasn't myself. I wasn't out about my sexuality. I probably would have booked it if I was out about my sexuality.
Yeah, gay Lebanese person? Oh, yeah, come on.
You know, I
signed.
Yeah. Luckily I have like a little bit of persistence, but it still wasn't enough. I like went back to one of my agents and I was like, hey, they said no. You need to call John Pfeiffer and tell him to let me do the casting. And he's like, I don't know if it works like that. I said, please call John and tell him to let me do the casting. I cannot go another year with them saying no again. And he convinced the casting director for me to like go. And I pulled up, I was the first girl there. Like I have bad time management. Like I'm late here. I'm either early, like 45 minutes, or I'm late. I pull up 45 minutes early. 45 minutes early, and it's me and Tony Garin, who's like booked the show a bunch of times. She's awesome. We're like talking, we're homieing it out, you know. And I go in with the first 5 girls. And I was the first girl there. I was like, you can go before me. You can go before me. You can go before me. I was like, I'm going to talk to these people. I'm going to wait till all these 5 girls leave. And I'm going to talk their ear off and do my best to get this show. And so I waited till all the girls left. And then I walked out and I was like, you know, there's so many things that I wanted to say to you guys that I didn't get to say last year because I was too nervous. And to tell you the truth, I moved from a third world country to California, to New York, to stand here in front of you guys because I want to be here and I want to do this show. And they started crying. Monica and Sophia started crying. They were like, oh my God, like, you're amazing, like, all of this stuff. And I walked out and I was like, I either got that show or I didn't get it.
Or you're never hearing from these people again.
Yeah, and Ed Razik, he's like also Lebanese. So I was like, are you Lebanese? I always wanted to ask you. I always told myself that the day that I stood here, I would ask you. And he's like, I am, you know. And so, yeah, so basically like I ended up not getting the show that year. And I was like, all right. But at least I knew I did everything in my power to do it. I mean, I moved,
pulled all the fucking
I
tricks.
modeled, I got amazing agents. I like
4-pack.
Yeah, 4-pack. I like trained out like I never trained. I like had my friend do my hair and makeup. Like I got a spray tan. I was like, you know, and you still hear a no, and it sucks. It pierces.
It's worse even, I think, if you've done everything that you possibly can. At least before it was like, well, I'm young, you know, I haven't trained. Da-da. Yeah. Now it's like you come in your total A game and they're like, no.
And then the pandemic happened and the show doesn't exist anymore.
Shit. Yeah. But now Fenty.
Yeah. I mean, I think
a whole other ballgame.
I think in a sense, though, it still taught me a lot and it gave me a lot of friends. It pushed me to go and travel and meet people and like get out of my comfort zone a little. And now I'm on Lara 2.0, getting out of my comfort zone. And it's a totally different aspect of everything, you know?
Well, you've worked with some really fucking cool companies. And I mean, I'm sure that they're probably not the same sort of money as Angel contracts. But like Joa Brown, dude, I have had this Joa Brown sticker on my laptop. Now I have a new laptop, so I don't use this for my podcast.
I love
but I've had that on for ages. I am obsessed with them.
They have great stuff.
Me and my sister, I told her that you model for Joa Brown. She was freaking out. She's like, you have to talk about Joa Brown. You got to talk about Joa.
I love it.
Because I love them. Their clothes is unbelievable. Like
they should Joa Brown, you guys should send her some clothes.
Or
send me clothes that fit it's her and I'll give it to her.
Yes, please. I'm larger.
Yeah.
I love their shit. I have their like high neck stuff. I have like some of their crop top. Like it's just it's
I'll
good
be
quality.
sure. I'll be
It's
sure to
fucking
tag them
bomb.
in this video. Make sure that they see it. You know.
Oh my god, I love you.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
But you work with like really cool companies. I feel like you're always doing some really fun things.
Yeah,
And
I've
so
done a good little amount. I've done like Maybelline and VS Pink and Joa
yeah.
Brown.
Yeah, so you didn't do the VS
Nordstrom.
whatever, but you did VS Pink. I heard that was a really cool campaign. You really like that one?
That was like when Snapchat was starting to make ads.
Right, or the Snapchat ad.
Right.
So
and
cool.
so I actually was working that day. I was doing a day of e-com. And that happened, my last minute casting. My agent calls me, hey, like, do you want to go do this casting? It's for Victoria's Secret Pink. But like, you need to finish shooting. And if you don't finish shooting early, you're going to miss the casting. I shot, I think 180 outfits in 4 hours. Faster than I've ever shot. I begged the client, please, please let me go. I need to go do this. I need to go. And I ran, and there was 250 girls at this casting.
Holy shit.
And I was like, oh my God. And I'm like next to all these other girls that are stunning. And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like, I didn't know it was like this type of casting. And I booked it. And I was the main girl. Out of 250 girls, I wanted it so bad. I booked that casting.
Dude, fuck yeah.
know?
You got serious perseverance. And from starting from such a young age is pretty cool because I feel like a lot of people gain motivation as they get older. But it seems like you've definitely had a fire underneath you for a long time.
I think as I get older now, you know, reality's been starting to set in. And, you know, you start to become more afraid. Like, I have new fears now that I didn't have before. I'm like, of, you know, being afraid to speak up and those kinds of things. And that's why I'm fighting it now. And I'm like, no, I need to do this. Like, talking to you like this is liberating. I feel liberated because it's one, getting me to speak, which I'm constantly saying that I'm nervous to do. Two, forcing me to talk about how I got here. Actually, it reminds me that I had to overcome a lot of things before to unlock that version of myself. Yeah. And it's okay to have to unlock more things now to unlock the next version of myself. You know, and I think it's an important lesson for people to know. Like, you gotta get out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. That's where the growth happens. I love being uncomfortable purely for the fact that I know that like that's going to lead to something beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's important. But okay, so talk to me a little about modeling. I mean, we've been going for so long, so we'll probably have to do like, you should come back for another fucking episode at some point because there's so much more that I want to discuss. But I really want to talk about like a bit of the modeling process because I'm so fascinated by it. I used to watch that show 8th and Ocean and shit, and like modeling has changed so much now. It's a whole other ball game with body positivity. It's like there's so many different types. Yeah. There's some areas of the world that, you know, overcorrection, sure, whatever, like glorifying obesity is not something I'm a fan of for sure.
Yeah.
But I can say on a personal fucking level, body positivity has changed my fucking life.
Yeah.
Like in a way that I can't even really articulate it to how extreme of a difference it made. When I first went, I traveled to Brazil. I'll never forget being on the beach there for the first time and coming from the beaches of LA where everyone has a t-shirt if they're like 2 pounds overweight. Like, to Brazil where everyone's in a thong no matter what their size is.
Yeah,
like,
Brazil is like it's everybody's got a crazy body.
Man, and all these like the Instagram people, like it makes you feel like it's changed everything. It's changed the fucking game and I love it. But I think it's also changed how modeling works. But I'm curious, you say you do e-commerce. Like explain to me what the process of that is like. So it's all for like online catalog, is that the whole thing?
So there's a lot of different aspects to modeling, right? And so the first thing I would break it down to is there's 2 types of models, generally speaking, which is commercial models and high fashion runway models. Okay. So if you're like a high fashion model, you're traveling to Milan, Paris, London, New York, you're doing the runway shows, like you're doing Chanel, you're doing Dior, you're doing Dolce & Gabbana, you're getting exclusives for those shows, you're doing that. But what they don't tell you is that you might get that and you might get that one job with Chanel that's like $20K for the campaign or $50K for the campaign, but you're doing those shows for free.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Majority of the time.
What? You don't get paid for the runway shows?
Depends. Majority of the time, those girls, like maybe if you're lucky, it could be $1,000. Maybe you're unlucky and it's $300. Maybe you're getting paid in trade and clothes. So every single girl that people see and they're like on the runway, those models, you're like, oh my God, they're so rich. Those runway models are likely broke.
Damn.
If you're not Bella Hadid or Kendall Jenner or Gigi, you're probably broke because the way it works is you go, you're like, okay, I'm going to travel to do this show. You travel, you have now incurred fees on you by the agency that the agency advances you. Your plane ticket, which is like $1,000 to $2,000, a place to stay, which is another $2,000.
The model apartments or whatever.
You're now $3,000 in debt. Plus they give you an allowance if you need food for every like week, which is like $100. And you need transportation or $200, some shit like that. Okay. So you're now in debt $5,000. You haven't started anything. And now multiply that by 4 cities. 4 cities, $5,000 of debt minimum to each city. You're now $20,000 in debt. Okay. You better get some shows to repay your debt first. Jesus. So you go and you do like, if you're lucky, you book the castings, whatever. If you're unlucky, now you have a debt remaining with that agency and you got to wait until you get lucky to book a job in that city. Then they automatically deduct what you owe them first. This is standard.
Wow. This feels like modern day slavery. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I feel like nobody's going and saying any of this stuff either because there's a few girls I've seen like online talking about it, but they're not real models. So it's like incorrect information going out and I could see it online easily. But this is the actual reality of it, right? So you go to those cities. Yeah, and then if you're lucky, you maybe book an exclusive for like Dolce & Gabbana or you book a show with Dolce & Gabbana. Then these other casting directors start to pick up and you're making like $200, $300, $1,000. But like, unless you're like Cara Delevingne and you're doing like 2, 3, 4 shows a day and like you're that kind of girl that they have to pay, you're not making money. If you're a random girl, you're not making money. So with that, I ended up like, I never had an agency in Paris or Milan. I think I might try to get one like now, but I was like, I tried to do the shows in New York and it's horrible. It's like you go, it's either extremely hot and it's like 80 degrees or it's winter. And luckily I skipped winter, but like you go, you're doing 9 to 12 castings a day. You're just like in the subway, uptown, downtown, Brooklyn, back to Manhattan, going for the hopes. You're doing like probably at least 70 castings in the interval of 5 days.
Jesus.
Hoping that you get one show that makes you a breakout star. Okay? So doing all of that and being in New York and like trying really hard, like hustling to like whatever, I started to realize I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to be trying to go around from city to city and end up in debt. I'm going to pick one city to be in, and that led me to LA. And now I finally have representation in New York again after like the pandemic and stuff like that. And I'm like maybe going to try this route again, but like I decided to take the route of being like a commercial model.
Wait, but okay, so question about the representation in different cities, because don't like elite models, don't they have like elite or IMG or whatever, don't they have offices in all these cities? Can't they rep you across the board?
So it depends on the agency. So like I just signed a worldwide contract with One Model Management.
Okay.
So they now rep me in New York, LA, Chicago, and Spain. Okay. So London, Paris, Milan are still up for grabs for me as long as I discuss it with my worldwide agency, One Management. To make sure that like they'll set it up. They're my mother agency and they're like taking care of me right now.
Got it. So they find you people to rep you in those places, and essentially repping you in those places means that they manage the jobs for you there, or they get you the jobs there.
They get you the jobs there and do everything related to that. So like the
do you
more
guys have managers? Do more?
Yeah. Well, you have like booking agents. You know, they're like kind of both. They play the role of both. Like managers more like musicians and stuff like that. So like more like an agent. So like. Yeah, managers like more personalized touch. I feel like I always, in a sense, manage myself because I research, what do you do for this or that. But like, yeah, so I would have like my agency in New York, they'll book me jobs in New York, which includes clients like Urban Outfitters and Free People and, you know, Victoria's Secret. They're the ones that can send you to that. You know, Adore Me, like things like that. And then my LA agency could send me to like Forever 21, which I do all the time, and PacSun or, you know, like Joa Brown, like their client list. And then Miami has their own client list. Spain has like Zara and like I think like maybe H&M, like things like that.
Have you done e-commerce for Zara?
I actually don't. I haven't, but I really want to.
because just
the
tell
photos
me.
are hilarious.
Yes, dude. Like, do they ask people to like flip upside down? I would buy so
They
much more
probably-
from Zara if I could shop online, but it's impossible. How do you know what something looks like when the foot is like?
I know.
It's hilarious.
Everybody like makes fun of it. It's so crazy, but actually, if you like remove the weird poses out of the side, Zara actually has the highest quality e-commerce photos.
Wait, why? Explain.
Think about it. When you look at a photo on Zara and you look at the clothes, you can almost see the stitching. They're upside down.
Oh, in that way.
Upside down.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I'll see the stitching, but like, how does it drape? Like, I don't know what it drapes like when it's
You don't need to
flipped
know
over
how it drapes. The important part is that you know it looks like a fucking dope photo and it looks artistic and shit. You know?
It is so artsy. It's very much like it's cool. Do you know what I mean? But it's so hard to shop on Zara. It's so fucking funny. But if
It's
you ever
difficult,
can you come back on the podcast when you do e-commerce for Zara?
Yeah, I'll let you
I need
know.
that whole inside scoop.
I'll let you know. We're definitely. I love this. We're definitely gonna do another.
Oh yeah,
podcast,
we're gonna do round 2
100%.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, so then you get like an agency in every city. And like so like London, like I've been with Storm and Premiere and pandemic happened, so I had to like leave both. But you get one per city. And I booked clients like Nasty Gal, Boohoo, like I was almost, oh my God, before the pandemic happened, I was supposed to finally work for Burberry.
Ooh.
And Burberry was like one of my dream clients. And I remember I remember actually when I was a kid getting into like an argument with Cara Delevingne's old agent. And I was like, you need to be my agent. And she's like, no. And I was like, I want to book Burberry. And she's like, that's not how it works. Burberry only books British girls. So for years, I was like, okay. Yeah. And so I was like, there's going to be a day where they don't book British girls. And I want to be a girl that they book. I fucking love Burberry.
Yeah.
I thought it was the coolest thing because like Cara Delevingne did it. And, you know.
So you obviously loved Cara.
I loved Cara, you know, like I actually like I met her like a couple of times and stuff, but like we never really like talked much. But I liked that she had a personality and she was out and she was like, I play for both teams. Like now I think everybody knows that she's like gay. So it was like,
yeah, she's pretty much just, who's she with now? What's her name?
I don't know who she's
Ashley
with right
Benson
now.
or something?
Oh no, I think they broke up.
Did they?
I don't know. I don't
Damn, that
follow
was a
stuff.
fucking cute couple. I don't follow it either. Who did I
Yeah.
think that was still together that really broke up like forever ago? Anyways, I always do that.
I was like, Cara's sister actually tried to hook me up with Cara once.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was at like Coachella and she was like, oh, like you are so cute. What's your type of girl? And I was like, blonde hair and colored eyes and like chill, like plays video games. She's like, oh my God, do you know who my sister is? I was like, no.
dude, your accent's not bad. Just go do that in the Burberry audition.
I know, thanks. Yeah, she's like, my sister's Cara Delevingne. You would absolutely love her. You'd so get along. And I was like, oh yeah. And I like just was like, I was lit, you know, I was out. So I didn't get Poppy's number, but Poppy was like really dope. Yeah.
Could have fucked Cara.
Well, I think the problem is like me and Cara are like the same type of lesbian where we're both kind of like masculine.
Yeah.
Like I like femme girls, like the short skirt wearing type, you know, like the kind of girl that literally nobody suspects to be into girls. I'm like, that's my type.
But it's cool because you're masculine, but you're so hot. Like you're
Thanks.
not, do you know what I mean? Like you're not like
I'm not butch.
You're not butch at all,
Yeah.
but you do have the mask vibe. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's like,
I think like my
cool.
mannerisms and stuff are like more masculine, but like I still feel really feminine. Like I always tell my friends, like my friends will make jokes. They're like, Lara, when it comes to getting dating advice as like about guys, you are our favorite friend to get dating advice from because you think half like a guy. And I'm like, that's also why I can't date a guy, you know, because I know what they're thinking and they're being dogs. I'll tell you that, you know.
You're like, I have the inside scoop.
I have the inside scoop. I describe it as I think exactly 50% like a guy and 50% like a girl. So the 50% of me that's like a guy is like, I want to go talk to all these hot girls. Oh my God, a girl here, a girl
Staring
there.
at your friends
Oh
while
my
they're
God.
getting dressed, like, just like a subconscious.
Stupid.
Yeah.
And then the side of me that's like, a girl's like, oh, but I really do want to fall in love. And I actually like, you know, I actually really do want a girl to like go road tripping with me and do cute things. And I want to make her a playlist. Like I'm like a cheese ball at heart. That's why I think like part of my TikTok's hilarious. Cause I'm like, I play it like Playboy, like brand. But low key, like if anybody actually knows me, like, and you dig through me, like I make jokes. I'm like an onion. Like you dig through my layers and I am a cheese ball and I am romantic.
Okay,
and
Shrek.
I will remember all these details. Yeah, like an onion, literally.
No, I think that there are so many layers to your story. It's so cool to watch you like embracing it all now. It's fucking awesome. And I think it's important. So you do commercial modeling. You love that. There's more money in that and it's far more enjoyable.
Yeah. So to bring us back to that is the second type of modeling is commercial modeling, which is where they take a more sexy girl, a more pretty girl. Like you can be a little shorter. You can have a little more of like a chest, you know, like a little more curvy. And I chose to do that because like, you know, I found out all these girls that are doing runway are actually broke. And now I'm on a different phase where it's like, I want to be vocal and out and see if that helps my career and like find the brands. Like I'm ultimately like, I'm dying to do like Calvin Klein. Like that's like a dream one, but like I want to do their Pride campaign.
Dude, you fucking kill Calvin Klein.
Thanks. So I'm like, I want to do like things like that are like, how can I find a way to, you know, make more money, but make a difference? Because otherwise, I lose that passion for modeling. Like modeling is not benefiting anybody. Yeah. It's my bread and butter. It's my income. But how can I give it a positive twist? Which is why I'm like fighting to be so much more vocal now because I want to make a difference. I want girls to be like, oh, you know what? She's skinny. And that maybe doesn't make me feel so good about my body if they have that. But also be like, but wait, she's gay and she's Arab and she has other things about her that are cool and she's just born like that.
Yeah.
Because right now I think there's such a stress on like body positivity, this and that. And I think it's so important to acknowledge all of that. But I think it's also like realistically looking at it, like all of us girls that are skinny, like our body's just like that, you know, like. And it's a gift for sure. Like, and it's a struggle for other people to not be like that.
A blessing and a curse to men. I have a friend who like tries to put on so much weight all the time. And it's really fucking hard for her.
That's how I was. Like I couldn't. Like when I was in New York, I was like eating pizza.
Take this part and open it just a little bit. I feel like it's hurting you at the top. Yeah.
It's a little.
Open like that one of the sides, just like to make it.
I think that did it.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You got it.
Okay, great.
Great. Thanks. I keep touching it. You're like, I'm gonna have to cut this all.
No. I can just tell because my other headphones are not here right now. They usually have like padding.
Yeah.
Which is like
but
better.
They're good. I like hearing myself.
It's nice, isn't it fun?
It's kind of interesting.
Isn't it cool? Own voice in the head. But it is. But I think it's within body positivity. Like I don't mind brands. Obviously, Victoria's Secret is different because it's such an original brand that they were kind of part of the original problem, if you will. Yeah. But when you look at brands now, like Joa Brown, they don't have any big models on their site, and I mean, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I don't think that everyone has to cater to everything. And if anything, I actually think it's better when clothing companies go more niche because. For me, for example, I have like a long torso.
Right.
Like not all companies will like jumpsuits or one-piece bathing suits or shit like that. Bodysuits, fucking hard to find for me. Anything that's like one. So if there was a company that does long torso, that's awesome. I would shop from there. You know what I mean? Like I think it's okay. Curvier, totally fine. And if big companies want to do everything, they can as well. Yeah. But I don't think every company has to do everything. Yeah. I think that's really unrealistic. I think body positivity also includes skinny people as well. So like when you see the comments on whatever, like eat a hamburger, eat a this.
Yeah, it's
like,
not
dude,
cool.
You're doing the same fucking thing. Yeah. You're doing the exact same thing that you think somebody else would do. And, there are people who are overweight because they're overeating, and there are people who are underweight because they're undereating. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of people, this is their natural fucking bodies.
Yeah. Like for me, it was always my natural size. But I know, like, I've heard stories, like, that some friends don't know that I know of, like, them going and making themselves throw up because, they had like these modeling agents and stuff telling them that you need to be this way and you need to be like that. Yeah. That's why, like, honestly, like, thank God that more people came in and people were like, this is fucked up. Like, this is not okay that you guys don't have body positivity, because it actually made all of our agents more hesitant about what they say to us. Like,
thank God, because agents can be disgusting sometimes.
Yeah, because in a way, like, I want to say, like, normal people or more normal sized people saved us, because we're not like, we're choosing to model it's so glamorous, but it's like most of these girls are coming from Ukraine and Russia and like all these random countries, Brazil. Their families are poor. Yeah. Their families are not rich. They're trying to make a difference. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think like Lais Oliveira's family is rich, or Lais Rivera. Like, I don't think her family's rich. I think she got rich. And she had a kid and she was 18 and like went and fought for the shit that she has, And so that's why we get into it. Like, I came from a third world country. Like, I'm like, my family's all right. Like, I don't talk to my dad. My dad doesn't help me with anything. What I have is just me. Yeah. And this was like, I didn't have money to go to law school like I wanted to. It didn't matter if I had the grades for it. They still weren't good enough. I wasn't like a 4.0 GPA. I was like a 3.5 GPA. And that wasn't maybe enough to get that scholarship and go to school. So I went into modeling. And yeah, it's just one of those things, you know?
It's hard. It's so hard because I think a lot of times also, like, you know, people don't realize, but they perpetuate what could be harmful behavior within someone. So if someone's commenting on somebody's size or how they look or whatever,
Yeah.
like, you know, even complimenting like like weight loss or complimenting weight gain or complimenting anything, like, oh, you look so good, you look curvier now, or you look, you know, I think that it can be kind of tricky. I mean, I'm very complimentary person.
Right.
Like, I can't help it when I see something that I like, clothes, a
I love
face,
that
like
about you,
fucking breath. Like, it could be the smallest detail, like someone's lashes, like, blow me away. Do you know what I mean? Like, I will compliment them. And there have been times where
But that's a beautiful gift, you know? Not everybody's like that. Like, that's what made us friends is you saw me and you were like, and I was like hiding in all this like crypto stuff. And I was like, oh, like I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb and everybody's going to think I'm an idiot. And you came up to me and you're like, oh my God, you look so cool. Are you a model? You're so pretty. And I was like,
yeah,
oh,
sounds about right.
I was like,
sounds about Shanni.
I was like, oh, you talk like normal. I like this. I like it. You know?
Yeah. Because I think it's like, why not? You know, why not? People are so inundated with like so much fucking negativity and bullshit. And it's, if I think something's nice, I'm gonna fucking say it. And I don't, I love hyping people up. I think it's so cool. And so, but it's a thing, you know, I try and remember that people are also human beings. And I really like to compliment personalities and ambiances and things like that as well. And try to stay away from bodies just because it can be really hard. But if someone's hot, I'm gonna fucking say it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's part of it. But it's tricky. So when people are like, eat a hamburger or eat a this, like that could really hurt someone's
It's
psyche.
horrible. Like, you know, like people would always bully me about like how skinny I am. And I think people need to like take a second and like just shut the fuck up for a second. You know, and like,
which is hard for me to do, but other people
should. You know what I think of that statement in school where it's like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yep.
And I try to go by that. Like, if I'm going to say some shit about somebody, I will say it to your face. If I think you suck, I will tell you to your face. I'm an extremely blunt person, you know, but at the same time, like, you have to really be like awful for me to like say something, you know? Otherwise, like, I just let it go. And I'm like, I see people comment stuff like of other girls that are skinny. I'm like, leave the girl alone. Like, you don't know what she's like. Or if they are like a bit thicker, like, why don't you just mind your own damn business? Like, why is everybody running and rushing to go comment things? Like, I get comments on my stuff on TikTok like, oh, what a shame that you're gay. Why don't you leave me alone? Why don't you, like, you don't need to be on my page if you don't like that I'm gay because I'm a pretty girl. Because I'm a pretty girl, I have to be straight. What about making other girls feel better about themselves?
Because you're a pretty girl, you have to be straight so that way you're an option for them, kind of a thing. So that way the fantasy can work out in their favor, whatever it is.
And
which is so ridiculous.
It's super offensive stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, people don't think about how offensive the things that they ask are, you know? Or asking, like, for girls that are bisexual. What percentage of you likes guys and what percentage of you likes girls? Why does it matter? And that's something that took me a long time to understand. I didn't understand it, but now I do. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, everybody on this earth should be doing whatever makes them happy as long as it causes no harm to another human being. You want to go like collect fucking rocks? Go collect rocks.
Collect them, you guys.
You know?
Collect all the rocks.
Yeah, like, you know, like, I think the world has a lot of like self-work to do. And I think I'm still doing a lot of work on my own. And I hope that, you know, people will put in the work to think before they talk and not be so quick to bully somebody or to judge somebody or to have like a closed mind.
There's a saying that we used to have at Wilderness when I was a kid. It was, say what you mean what you say, and don't be mean when you say it.
I like that.
And it's so succinct, and I've lived by it for so long. And like, I don't mind confronting people if I have a problem, but I'm going to mean what I say, and I'm going to try and do it in a really, you know, it doesn't always have to be a gentle way, but it's not going to be a mean way. Yeah. And I think it's so important. And I do feel like with online culture, it's one of those things that I feel like people are getting better at, or at least slow and steady. You know what I mean? Like, they're kind of improving in a way. But it is like a problem, you know, within the reality TV world. Like, I used to have a podcast about it, and the comments online are just so fucking negative. With plastic surgery, whenever anybody gets anything done and people comment on it, and it's like, if someone had bad work done, they're probably not very happy about it. So also, having like a barrage of messages about it, it's not going to make them feel any better about it.
Yeah. Also, like, people that do want to get plastic surgery, like, I have like friends that ask me like, oh, do you think I should do my nose? Oh, do you think I should do my lips? And I'm like, look, honestly, like, I am pro all of that. I am pro go get Botox, go get fillers, go do whatever.
I love Botox.
I love Botox too.
Oh my God, it's the best
But I'm
thing.
like, go, like I got all of my friends, I think, on Botox. But I tell them, I'm like, look, I've been doing that since I was 18, super young. People freak out about it, but it makes me happy. It makes me feel good. It's not hurting anybody. So I'm like, anybody who's not feeling good about themselves in some way, if that makes them feel better, you want to go, like you're a girl, you want to go dress up like a guy, makes you feel better. You're a guy, wants to go dress up like a girl, whatever. Go do whatever's going to make you happy. Like, why does any of this matter?
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
Personal autonomy.
People have so much free time on their hands. So much free
To
time.
fucking shit talk everybody.
Yeah, like you're like, you know, fucking eating from like a bag of fucking chips and you're just like sitting there on your couch like, I'm gonna go on TikTok and shit talk these people. And you go on, oh, this girl should eat a burger. Oh, this girl should be straight. Oh, this girl should this. Oh, I wanna fuck this girl. Like, what? Like, are you okay?
Bro, the things some people say online are like out of this world. It's just like,
Yeah.
damn, are you not like do you say that kind of stuff in person? Like,
Of course they don't.
Creepy
Of course
as
they don't.
shit.
Like you think if a guy saw me face to face, they're gonna be like, oh, it's a shame. They're gonna be like, oh my God, like you're gay. Actually, that's kind of cool. Like, what's
Dude,
it
so
like?
dope. Like, you're gay, so you fuck chicks too, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And I go, don't worry, my game's better than yours. Probably get girls that would look like nothing you'd come near.
yeah, well, every single one of your girlfriends is literally like a fucking 10. It's,
Yeah.
it's like out of this world. It's out of this world. Okay, so I want to end on one last question.
Yeah.
By the way, next time we're going to talk about your like DJing and singing and
Oh,
crypto and
yeah.
NFTs and like that
Yeah,
whole world.
I know.
There's so much more
I
to
feel
discuss.
like this was more essential.
This was an intro. No, this was really essential. I think so much of this stuff is so important. I was actually super excited that you started posting all that kind of content because
No,
I was like,
I
damn,
feel
this is fucking
happy that we did
sick.
this. Yeah, I love
yeah. Do you feel like being lesbian has helped you with keeping like creepy photographers at bay? Has that?
Fuck no.
No, not at all.
Doesn't,
Really? Even
by the way,
not even a little bit?
Let me give you an example. The other day, like last week, I was in New York, right? And I went out, and like whatever, this guy comes to hit on me, whatever. He's like, oh, like what are you drinking? What are you doing, baby? And I'm like, whatever, you know. I was like, I'm gonna save you the time. I'm a lesbian. And he's like, oh yeah, you think that's a funny excuse? I was like, no, I'm a lesbian. And then later that night, there's some girl that's kissing me. And he comes back and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I literally didn't know that you weren't kidding and that you're actually gay. I was like, yeah, I'm actually gay. Look at how I'm dressed. Do I not look gay enough? I mean, I guess not. But I was like, literally, I was wearing like camo pants.
Like a fucking muscle t-shirt.
Like camo pants, and I was wearing a fucking vest.
You're
You
like,
know,
bro,
like-
this is gay.
I was like, you know, just like people just they like are still gonna like go and hit on you. Like I think now people have known me like privately, like known that I'm gay for so long.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of like, well, you know, if you invite Lara, she might steal the girl. Like my friends will call me like Mr. Steal Your Girl. Like,
That's hilarious.
You know?
Do you dislike when straight girls use that as an excuse to get away from guys? Do you think that that's like a bad thing?
I think it's horrible. Yeah.
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 What
Because when here's what happens. I am actually gay. So when I'm in a situation where I actually need to say I'm a lesbian, because that's the truth, right?
It loses its value.
It loses its value and they don't believe me. So I think if a girl, like I understand girls wanting to get guys away, but you should just be honest and say, look, I'm really not interested. Say you have a boyfriend. Say I have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not interested. Why is that so difficult to say? Why does it?
Sometimes it just doesn't work. I think
Yeah.
that's the big issue. It's like it's really
That's the other problem
It's
with
fucking
guys.
weird how that doesn't work. I find that so like. Does that work with women though? Is that it's people are
What do you
really
mean?
fucking persistent. Like if you tell a woman that you're not interested, is she gonna try again?
I mean, look. So with me, most of the girls I go for are like straight.
Interested? Oh,
Interested?
are straight?
No, they're straight. Like most of the girls.
Oh, pretty. Okay, hold on. Yeah. You continue. I thought of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you remembered it? Okay, good.
Thank fucking
Good.
God.
Good. Okay.
It's not even that great of a question, but I still want to ask it.
most of the girls that I go for like generally are like straight or bi-curious. You know,
Okay.
like haven't been with a girl. Like I think like I was about to say my body count.
Yeah, is it high? Should we compare body counts?
I don't know. Like my body count's actually not that bad. Like I would say like it's like around like 15 to 20.
Oh,
Right?
for your age, that's
That's
not bad.
pretty good, right?
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
would
yeah.
say like only like 3 or 4 of those girls had like been with girls before.
Interesting.
And every single
Isn't
other
that
girl.
weird though? Like being with someone who's so inexperienced. Like I would hate to get with fucking virgins.
I
That'd
mean,
be
it's
the
me repeatedly.
worst.
Yeah, it's like me consistently
Like always
taking
teaching.
virginities.
Yeah.
The problem
I'd
is
never
like,
hook up with a virgin guy now. I would be so uncomfortable with
yeah,
that idea.
Yeah, no, I think the problem is I'm a fool for a beautiful girl. So if I'm going out, I'm drinking, the vibes are right, I'm hanging out at places with all my straight friends. There is no girls that like girls. I've never been to a gay bar.
Lesbian, because lesbian bars are going extinct.
I just like I don't have it around me. I don't have friends that are into it. That's why I like TikTok, because it's the first time I've ever been exposed to girls that are like me. So I'm like going to these places and it's like all straight girls. What am I gonna not in on any girls? No, I'm gonna start drinking and I'm gonna be like, oh, you're kind of cute. Have you ever been with a girl? Are you curious? And sometimes girls will like right away just be like, I'm so not into girls. And I'm like, well, you don't know until you try. And they're like, no. And I'm like,
have you tried with a girl though yet?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. Like occasionally I'll get one girl that's like super not into it, you know? And then like generally like girls could be drinking and they could be like, I could be down. Like, and then most of them will like make out with you. Like my makeout number is ridiculous. But
yeah, I've made out with girls like before, but that's so easy. Like it's
so easy.
Make
like,
out with a lot of people, if I'm being honest. Like it's just not like
the hard thing is like actually having sex with a girl.
Yeah.
And also going on a date with a girl. Like
interesting.
You know, like going on it, like can you put yourself in a position with a girl to like remove the sex factor and actually get to know the girl? Does that make you uncomfortable or does it make you comfortable?
Me?
No, like in general, like for what their thought process is.
Sounds like dinner with a friend.
Like I admire girls that like are able to be like, okay, like I've never slept with a girl, but I'm down to go on a date with this girl and like are able to like have a normal conversation. It feels like hanging out with a friend. And the nice part, like things that I learned from dating, like
I was gonna say that feels like just hanging out with a friend.
Yeah, like things that I learned from like my last relationship, like Carrie. I learned so much in that relationship where it was like things and insecurities that I had and like things to overcome. And like she would tell me, she's like, honestly, like hanging out with you is like hanging out with my best friend and constantly having my best friend with me, you know, and being able to like always have somebody to do things with, like whether we're like analyzing things or talking about things, because I'm a girl. So it's different than a guy because I go into explicit detail about things with her that guys don't do. Right. And then I could simultaneously be like, all right, let's go to the beach and like go watch the sunset or do our nails or like whatever, like little things like that, you know? And that's it. Like I've just like learned a lot from that, and like I think like I admire girls that have the ability to have the strength to go out with a girl and put themselves in that position and see that it is normal and you're panicking about it in your head. Like I had for the longest time panicking in my head. Oh my God, going on a date with this girl. Are people gonna look? Oh, what are people gonna think? Oh, that's 2 pretty girls are having dinner. Oh, it's so weird. Like
interesting.
So I admired the girls that were more themselves because it made me be myself, especially if it was a girl that was comfortable to like kiss me in public. And each girl is different. Like there's a lot of girls that I've talked to that are like super not comfortable with that. Like public affection I was super bad with, and I had to like put in a lot of effort to work on that.
So crazy, because I think I guess looking from the outside in, just like as a regular like straight Californian human, I see so much progress, and like I think I just assume people are so comfortable with themselves now because of how like kind of society's been going, and like I don't know, there's almost this illusion that like everyone is super open and comfortable and like totally fine with it. So when I hear that people are still hesitant that way, or that there is still kind of that barrier, it's pretty interesting to me, because I don't. It's hard to see that. Like you don't see that unless you're going through those experiences where you're literally talking to a chick and she's like, I don't want to like hook up in public or whatever. But to me, I see so much more free love these days and this and that. And it's kind of crazy, but there really still is like a big stigma. There really still are, there are still fears. There are still stresses from people. But yeah, I mean, I think what you're doing with TikTok is fantastic. I think what you're doing with all your content is amazing. And I hope that it really does impact people out there.
I hope so too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will change.
If I could have one wish right now, it would be to reach like a lot of women, like millions of women that like women, and hopefully make 100 of them come out. Yeah. You know, like that would make me the happiest fucking person ever, to know that like I get 100 messages from girls that are like, hey, watching your funny videos actually made me feel really comfortable with myself and my sexuality. Like, And if I could reach more women and make more women comfortable about themselves, like that would be like
Fucking
my
do
dying
it.
dream. Literally my dying dream. Like something, when people ask you like, what is one thing that you think that you like, if you're going to die tomorrow, what's your legacy that you're leaving behind? And that's what I hope my legacy
It's a fucking powerful legacy if you can leave that.
Yeah,
You know what
that's
I mean?
like
Yeah.
like I'm at that age where I'm figuring out what I want to do, and I'm realizing the legacy I want to leave behind is helping girls accept themselves.
I cannot wait to see how this impacts your career because I just have a feeling that it is going to really help you take off. You showing
Hopefully.
your personality, you
Thank
showing
you.
your sides to you, and I, you know, like we were talking about how with models and obviously not being outspoken and stuff in the past and how that's kind of changed now.
Right.
I think companies are looking for people who can be that personality, who
Yeah.
can be that face and represent so much more than just the pretty or just the, you know, perfect body
Right.
for their clothes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm just curious about pretty privilege in terms of like how you felt that growing up. Do you feel like things, not necessarily maybe in the modeling industry because you're going up against
Right.
literally like stunning humans, so
Right.
competition is going to be steep. But for example, like the way guys treat you or at a restaurant or just day-to-day life, do you ever get a feeling that things are a little bit better or easier?
It's really easy to flirt with the bartender and get a free drink. Really easy. It's a
My
lot
sister
more
is
fun.
so fucking good at that.
It's a lot more fun to do it with your girlfriend. Yeah. done that a couple of times with my ex. We would just die laughing. She'd be like, "Oh my god, babe, this guy wants to buy me a drink," and I'm like, "Let him ask for 42. Let's go drink." Like, you know.
Have you ever been turned down from a club or a party at a door?
Honestly, I get turned down at the Web3 parties.
Shut up, do you actually?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's when I realized like the doors are like so wrong because it's like I could pull up to like 10 Casa Cipriani,
Right,
like
yeah.
like Zero Blonde, gates of heaven open for you because it's like your friends' places or like you're a pretty girl. It's like whatever, it's just a girl. Like you can talk your way through it. I pull up to any Web3 party and they're like, "Is your name on the list?" I'm like, no, like I barely got the fucking invite.
You're like, I just have the flyer
But
in my
like I'm
text
a girl.
message.
Like you guys need girls at these events, and they're just like, "No, sorry, we can't get you in." And I'm like sitting there like calling like Nicole, like, "Hello, like Georgia Sinclair, Nicole,
can you
guys,
let me in? Knock,
can you
knock.
guys get me into this Web3 party?"
That's actually hilarious.
Yeah, they like don't let me in the Web3 parties. They're
What-
kind of like, "What are you doing here? Like you're so misplaced." And I'm like, this is why these parties are like not a vibe. Because you guys should be open-ended, letting every single girl in. Shouldn't even be a question about whether or not she's on the list. And that's when you realize there's like a separation, like a gap between the door.
There is a gap. There is a fucking gap.
That's like they want to do all these parties that are like cool, and you want to have a cool party, but there's no girls.
Okay, what about these like vacations that I always see models on all the time? You guys are always on yachts and
Yeah.
shit. Do you go on a lot of yachts? Is that like a legitimate thing?
It's okay. So there's two
Because
types
that's
of
the pretty privilege that I would like to have. I
Right.
want yachts.
there's two types of girls that are like doing that stuff, right? So some of them are
It's the fucking pause. It's the pause. You said so much with one pause.
my friends
said
always
so
tell me
much.
my friends will tell me that, you know, like you do this thing before you're about to say something crazy and you make like a big pause. You know, so I think that explains that. On self-explanatory.
Right,
I don't want to shit talk anybe, but you know what she's doing. You know why she's there. You know
Right.
how she got the bag. Both bags. You know?
Yeah.
The physical and the financial one, right?
Yeah.
And some of them are just your homies. Like, so like for comparison, like my tech friends, like they have private jets. I've gone on private jets, like with a good amount of my friends. Like Jordan Belfort flew me back on.
Oh yeah, when I
That's how
met you, he was he was
that's
there.
how I met that whole crew.
Yeah, we were in that corner with him.
Yeah, and so like, you know, he flew me on his plane on my birthday, which was like so dope because I
Yeah.
was like stuck in New York, and I was like, he's like, "Oh, when are you going back to LA?" And I was like, "Oh, tomorrow." And he's like, "Oh, just come with me." So like, and
Sick.
like he knows I'm gay. He's like my homie, like whatever, you know, like. And like I have other friends that are like, "Oh, do you need a ride to New York?" Like they maybe know me from
Is
modeling.
anybody going
from
to
that.
Portugal this week that you know?
No, unfortunately, Unfortunately, I don't even know if I'm going to Europe at this point. Like, I'm getting older and less hot, so like my pretty girl privilege or hot girl currency is just going down the fucking
Well,
drain.
Leonardo DiCaprio would have fucking he would have dumped you what, like 4 years ago now?
Oh my god, yeah, I'm getting old. I'm getting old for him. Yeah.
So interesting. I always wonder like how those things go down because it just seems like I have a lot of guy friends.
Yeah.
I'm like a guy's girl and I'm also a girl's girl.
I'm like the bro, like
equally
literally
both.
Like,
yes, I can do both. I have like a really amazing platonic guy friends for sure, but I also like so they'll always like hit me up like we need hot girls for this party.
like Coachella,
like that's the thing.
Coachella, every single hot girl goes for free.
Yes.
If she has a lot of followers, a brand could be probably paying her to go.
Yeah, a lot of brands send them.
You know, like, or if she's like not really known, but she's like a hot girl, like Coachella, like last year, like I paid for it myself. I got tickets like for me and my girl, like
you got regular tickets?
Nah, dude, I paid $5,000
for the artist pass.
Yeah,
I was like, Jesus Christ, Laura.
But what I did is like,
wait, you paid $5,000 each?
For both. Like it's like 2,500 or 2,600 each.
Artist passes are the bomb.
Yeah, and what I did is because I was like, I'm not gonna take my girl like not artist, you know, like and so I sold like 15 tickets or something, and I just made up the cost.
Smart. That's actually really smart. Look at you, savvy business lady.
Yeah. So I feel like I like to like have nice things and do nice things, but like I like think about it a little bit before.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all those girls like at Coachella, like they're probably like going for free. Like I felt good like paying for my own kind of like ticket. And like I don't like to ever really feel like I owe people anything.
I was gonna say, are there any instances where you'll like have to turn something down just because you don't feel like you want to really that person maybe?
So what I do now, like as that I'm older and that like I know myself like more, like if you want me to travel with you, you know I'm gay. You know you're not fucking me.
Right.
Like you know you're my homie. Like you know you're like my brother. Like you know like you love me for me. You know, so like I have like a specific set group of friends that like I'll travel with. And like they're my homies. They're literally like the most loving guys ever that are like, you're like my bro, dude. Like I love you. Like you being gay and stuff like that. And they don't question it. They've been my friends for like 8 years. And I fought for those people. Like I've like spent a lot of time like being lonely, not having the right people around me, and like finding people that are like genuinely good people. Like I would say like my closest friends are like extremely spiritual. Like they're like going like one of my best friends, Carlo, is like always touching trees. He's like, I'm connecting with the tree, and it's like. And I'm like, I appreciate that. Or like my friend Joey, he's like Jewish, and like we have our like religious differences.
We love a Jew.
Right? Yeah, and he's always like, I remember like one thing you would say, it'd be like raining in New York. I'm like, fuck, I hate the rain. I hate that it's raining. And he'd be like, don't say that. People used to pray for the rain.
That's true.
And I'm like, he's right, because drought is like a real thing. And so now, whenever it's raining, I'm like, it's good. We needed it.
Well, California for sure needs it.
And I say it's good. We needed it. You know, it like changes my perspective on it, and like. And like I have another friend who actually used to be a monk, and his name's Will, and he's also like one of my other like best guy friends. So like I have like a few set ones, like just homies that have your back. Like my friends, like I have like one of my other friends like owns a hotel, and I was in New York. I stayed at his hotel, and he's like, oh, like are you like gonna hang out with this girl on like Friday night, or when are you hanging out there? I'm like Thursday. And he's like, okay, I'm going to give you another day at the hotel room. Like, maybe you guys, have some fun. Like, or like my friends are like very like, oh, I'll fly you and your girlfriend out, like they're not like hitting on either of us, and it takes time to like build that and get to that. But a lot of those girls, like they're going like, it's, like it's like a trip. Sometimes you're young, you're just having fun. Like sometimes it's like another situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always so interesting to me. I mean, it's like it seems from the outside in like it's such a glamorous life, but obviously, I mean, I have so many fucking like whatever influencery humans in my existence, and I mean, I try and take like a big step back. I have taken a huge step back from it the last few months just because it's soul sucking energy and it can be really fucking draining. So it makes sense that you have such a diverse group of friends, and they're not all coming from this sort of social media like whatever perspective.
Yeah,
it can be really hard, but I always wonder. So I guess I have like an understanding that a lot of that stuff is just glamour. And first of all, some of it can be campaigns or influencer trips or whatever it is. Yeah. But it is interesting to hear from that perspective, like where that kind of stuff comes from,
Yeah.
Especially for people who are not invited on yacht trips very often.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a
Guys, bring me on your yacht.
Yeah.
Bring me on your fucking yacht. No, I'm going to have my own yacht. Yeah. And buy a 250-foot yacht. You can come on my yacht if you want.
Perfect. I would love that.
Bring your girlfriends.
Lesbians. Let's help me get a lesbian yacht, so we could just throw a big lesbian girl.
Huge ass lesbian
parties. Girls who like girls party. Every single girl, whether you're bi or pan, I don't care. Let's just big lesbian party. Girls who like girls party. Like,
all right, Laura, you're fucking G, as your last name does say. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
So what do you want people to know? Lesbian with sign is the handle at lesbian with sign.
So follow me on TikTok. That's where all my skits are and all the funny stuff is. It's Lara Ghraoui, just my first name, last name. And which I guess is written right there beautifully. Ghraoui, yeah. And then our next game will be a drinking game. Like, who could say my last name? And every time you can't say it right, you take a shot.
Next time you come on, we're just gonna get fucked up and like sing and talk about DJing.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I'd say that. And then if you want to follow my Instagram, if you're not on TikTok and you just want to keep tabs on lesbian with a sign, it's literally lesbian with a sign. And
then your regular Instagram as well.
All the like humorous lesbian stuff is on TikTok. I don't post as much of that on my Instagram.
I saw that. So you don't put any of those reels or anything up, right?
I like here and there. I'm severely losing male followers now. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
It's fucking hilarious.
I lose like 2,000, 3,000 male followers, and then I gain like 3,000 like girls who like girls followers. And like every time I like go through my DMs, which by the way, girls, I'm reading all the DMs. There's too many for me to answer, but I love you guys, and I'm so happy for everybody that's like sending sweet messages. I love you guys.
Do you click like on all the messages?
On what?
On like whenever you get DMs, because I
can't. But
it's impossible, right?
So my DMs are actually kind of messed up, which is why I like mix up and I can't even like respond like to all of them, because the time I open it, then it like reloads weird, you know. But like when I get like a new one, I can like kind of like glance at it, so I'll read through it, and if sometimes it's like really meaningful messages or somebody writes me like a paragraph, I like try to respond.
Yeah.
But I'm also just getting a lot of messages because
hard.
Like I probably get like, I don't know, like at least 20 to 30 a day.
Yeah.
Which compounds effect,
If you don't answer them every day, then that's 100 messages after 5 days.
Yeah, like I'm more. I try to like not be on Instagram for more than like an hour a day, and even that's a lot. And I like just have like a setting where I just like tune out.
Yeah.
You know, like I hate social media.
It's funny how like I hate social media too, but all of us who hate social media,
we have to do it the most.
We have for fucking work. It's so annoying. Maybe that's why we hate it so much.
Yeah.
Because it's literally a job.
Yeah, it's literally a job. Yeah. But that's I'm like, so my takeaway is just follow me on TikTok, like, to watch funny stuff. And hopefully if you're a girl that likes girls, or you're bi-curious, or you're confused about your sexuality, hopefully I can make you feel better about it, and that you will be able to accept yourself. That's my life goal right now.
Hell yeah, you queen. I love you so much.
Love
Thank
you
so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.